Happy NBA Free Agency Day 2024. NBA Free Agency is here, everybody, and we are live. We are going to react to it all. We got a lot of Phoenix Suns stuff to talk about, and I cannot do this show alone. We are going to be joined by my good friend, ThunderStash Gaming. A lot of you guys might remember him by ThunderSteve Gaming. We're going to bring him on here in a minute. Quick little side note, just wanted to apologize. I meant to be live about 15 minutes ago, but I was getting some fresh air and trying to be away from the computer for a little bit, but that does not matter. We are live now. Got a great show planned for you. We're going to be reacting to everything. We already have breaking news going on, but before we dive into it all, we got to bring on my good friend, ThunderStash Gaming. Steve, if I accidentally call you Thunder Steve, please forgive me. How you doing, man? What's going on, my brother?
I'm doing great. Life's good. I'm excited for free agency, as is everybody else. There's a lot of stuff going on, as you said, a lot of breaking news already. We're 10 minutes out from free agency officially opening, so this should be interesting. Should be a lot of fun. As always, guys, you can find me on YouTube at ThunderStash Gaming, and I do video game reviews over there for current video games, retro games, and then we have a weekly podcast. I'm on the Nintendo Byte podcast every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Arizona time.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself, ThunderStash. I'm sure a lot of people on this channel know who you are and that they are excited that you are back. Real quick, Steve, do you just want to refresh to the people's memory, how long have you been a Phoenix Suns fan for? Can you tell us your history with the Suns real quick?
Oh, yeah. Been a Suns fan since 92, 93. You know, it's really a lifelong endeavor. I'm approaching 40 years old, so I've been a fan since I was 7. A very long time. Of course, that means I was there for the 92, 93 Suns. And that whole season, the magic of it, John Paxson shot still sits in my memory. I feel like almost every day, sadly. It still hurts after all these years. I've been through it all, though. The ups, the downs. You know, the year after we traded Barkley, we started out 0-13. Also the same year that King Rex hit that amazing shot on the Sonics in the playoffs. So, you know, a lot of memories. Suns are very special to me. Fun fact, I have a Phoenix Suns tattoo. It's the only tattoo I have. And I actually got it. And I like to mention this because this is important. I got this tattoo when I turned 18. And this was after we had traded Marbury to the Nets. We hired D'Antoni. We had an awful record. I think we had 24 or 26 wins. Okay. And we were going into the offseason. So I remember turning 18 in May and getting the tattoo about 3 weeks before we signed Steve Nash on the opening day of free agency. So my point is, we're at the lowest of the lows that I had known as a Suns fan. That was the lowest point as a Suns fan at that point in time. Of course, we had even lower points prior to CP coming over.
And that's what I was going to say. You were a real fan during those dark ages as well. And I know that for a fact because you and I used to go to games together and see each other at games.
Absolutely. Times, I grew up watching the games on, channel 45. Back when you could use the antenna, when it was on channel 16, was on channel 34, was on Cox 9, all the channels. Met a lot of the Suns over the years. I won the 3-point shootout competition for the entire state of Arizona. Got to play at halftime of the Suns game in front of everybody.
That's awesome.
That was cool. Got to meet Dikembe Mutombo. Dude's got the biggest hands ever. Like, no joke. I've shook Oliver Miller's hand when I met Big O because I got my card signed by him back in the day. And the difference, like his hands were huge, but Dikembe's were probably like at least this much longer. Like it was great, dude. But that was really cool. So yeah, point is, yes, lifelong Suns fan. This is my game room you see behind me on the other wall. It's filled with Suns stuff. I have
Yep.
Suns stuff all over
I've
my
been
house.
there before.
I have a Suns flag hanging at my house. They're very special to me, as they are to all of us, which is why you're tuned in today.
Thank you for that, Steve. I do appreciate that. Like I said, you guys, ThunderStash Gaming. We'll dive into your rebrand a little bit later, but his links are down below in the description. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Follow him on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. It's all linked down below in the description. So, Steve, because the news is going to be starting to fly in here in about 5 minutes. Real quick, we'll probably be live for at least 2 hours, maybe more. But real quick, Steve, I got a little bit of water here. I have a couple water bottles next to me as well. But I also got a little bit of body armor, which I absolutely love. Got to have the electrolytes going. But with that being said, though, I might need a caffeine kick every once in a while. So I got a little bit of coffee here to get my juices flowing. It's the nectar of the gods. So what do you got over there, Steve?
Well, of course, living in Arizona in the desert, we got to have water. So I have my I have my cup right here.
I love that
classic cup.
I'm going to full screen you real quick. Yeah.
I got to be careful as I'm turning this.
Yeah, I know.
The water's filled to the top.
Yep.
Yeah, classic. And then I got the Ghost right here, the Phoenix Suns edition.
I love it. I love it so much.
Which this is actually the Suns edition, guys. If you didn't know about that, you can
You're
Google
on full screen too. Yeah, that's cool, man.
There you go. If you don't know about it, you can Google it. And I got one of my friends over here for good luck today.
Well, who's it gonna be? Oh, I have that. That's so cool, man.
There it is.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Let me pull his collar up.
That's
a little
like in
bit
pristine condition too.
He's been working out on those shoulders.
I love it.
Not fitting as well anymore. Yeah, this is classic,
so cool.
man. This guy's been around forever. He's there for good luck.
All righty, you guys. So like I said, we will probably be live for 2 hours, maybe longer. You guys already know the drill at this point, because every time I say we're going to be live for a certain time, we're live for even longer than that. But Steve, we got breaking news going on right now. We'll talk about it later, but James Harden has re-signed with the Clippers for about 2 years. But I want to talk about a player that we are all familiar with. And I believe the writer that this source is coming from. So earlier today, I made a YouTube short about it, by the way. Jake Fisher from Yahoo Sports mentioned that Chris Paul, there could be a potential Chris Paul reunion in the Valley of the Sun. Now, I want to read a specific quote that was in his article, and I believe I linked it down below in the description, but this comes from Jake Fisher, who says, and I quote, "The Suns have been connected to all kinds of guards for minimum salaries, from Kyle Lowry to Monte Morris, and even a potential reunion with Chris Paul should he ultimately be waived by the Warriors," which, by the way, spoiler alert, he was. If you are seeing the screen right here, Shams Charania and a few other NBA insiders have reported that Chris Paul has been waived. $30 million guaranteed date was today. He is now a free agent. And then, like, as we were doing our introduction, Steve, that's when they announced the James Harden stuff. So, Steve, and real quick, I'm not sure if you saw this. John Gambadoro from Arizona Sports said, no way it's happening. And I'm not saying John Gambo is wrong. I love John Gambo and everything, but I'm just saying I like the possibility of a potential Chris Paul reunion, especially if he were to sign cheap and he wouldn't coming off of the bench. I know Chris Paul is aging. I know it didn't really work out with the Warriors, but this is one of the greatest point guards ever who could be one of our quarterbacks. And I know there's a lot of football fans out there, be one of our quarterbacks out there that could help lead the Phoenix Suns, not just to the playoffs, but to go deep into the playoffs. And we would actually have a point guard so everybody can stop complaining about it. So, Steve, real quick, man, before all the free agency news starts flying in, what do you think about this, man? Is it even possible that there's a Chris Paul reunion? What are your thoughts about this, man?
I mean, anything's possible, right? I do put a lot of stock into what Gambo has to say.
Same here.
I've been, I've been following Gambo since he started with
Yep.
Suns or with Arizona Sports back when it was, 6:20 a.m. So I put a lot of stock into what Gambo says, which is unfortunate because when you said that, I'm like, gosh, really?
Yeah, I know.
Gambo said it?
Yeah, he tweeted it. Yeah.
He is in Norway right now, though. He's on his annual summer vacation, so you never know. Maybe he just hasn't heard. Maybe people his usual sources haven't reached out to him so he can enjoy his vacation. You never
It is a
know.
busy day too. Maybe his sources haven't gotten to him yet,
Bottom line, and Brandon, I said this last summer when we live streamed that we need a point guard.
Preach.
Bottom line. I said it last year. I wanted to be wrong about it, but there's a lot of factors that go into all of this. As far as needing a point guard, we have nobody that can set the table for the team.
Preach.
Okay. We asked Book to do it. And can he do it? Yes, he can do it. But should he do it is the question. He's much better coming off of a screen and catching and shooting and operating versus trying to set up the offense. Okay. So just because he can do it doesn't mean he should do it. And not only that, but it increases his usage rate. Usage rate increase leads to injury. We saw that already last year. A lot of injuries. Brad Beal, same thing. Can he do it? I mean, yeah, and he might have to, but it's not his natural position. He would be much better if we had somebody to set the table for this team versus having Book or Beal or KD even bringing the ball up court. So we need somebody. And the proof is in the stats, guys. We all witnessed it last year. We saw the season. We saw the offense. The offense was hard to watch, waiting for double teams, passing out of a double team and getting picked off half the time. Half the time, we're dancing around the half court line, passing the ball back and forth, leading to passes getting picked off and an easy fast break. That really happened. Our turnover rates last year, we were one of the worst teams in the NBA in turnovers. And I actually have it right here. Let's see. We were 25th in the NBA in turnovers. That's awful.
Louise.
And we saw it. They were frustrating turnovers. I was talking to my lady about it because she saw the frustration night in and night out. And she saw the ups and downs because some nights were really fun, obviously. Like that Suns Kings matchup where we came back from down 20 some points. That was a lot of fun. But there's way too many times where I'm watching this and I was like, babe, this is like textbook stuff right here. Like textbook mistakes that I don't even see at like the high school or rec center basketball. You don't even see passes like this. It didn't make sense.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't think the players are all to blame for it. I don't. I think a lot of it was our offensive scheme. Because that's
everyone was to blame for last year. Everybody from top to bottom. Like, I hate to pick on the ball boy, but even the ball boy was to blame for last year. You know what I mean? So,
but in terms of CP, in terms of Chris Paul, though, this is why I'm bringing this up. We were 25th in turnovers. Okay. This is last year. When we had Chris Paul, looking at the first season, 2020-21, we had the fourth lowest turnover rate.
Right.
2021-22, once again, fourth lowest. And then 2022-23, 10th lowest. Chris Paul goes away. We try to do it with Book and Beal and KD. What happens? We go to 25th worst in the NBA. Huge jump. Massive. So the point is, we need a true point guard, a true ball handler who has high passing IQ.
Yep. And who can just be a guy who not only is going to compete out there, we all know Chris Paul is a competitor, but who can also maybe calm us down in moments of frustration. And when we're, let's say that we give up like a 15-0 run or something like that. And there's that one timeout, you know what I mean? A guy that can just be there for our guys and to also mentor the young guys. I know we got Book and KD and Beal, but can be another guy to mentor our young guys. And real quick, when you were talking, Steve, I looked up his numbers from last season. They're not super great, but they're not terrible either. About 9 points per game. He only played in 58 games, by the way. But 6.8 assists on 44% shooting and 37% from three. You know what I mean? And you and I were talking about this earlier. Like, if this were like 10 years ago and it was Chris Paul and Steph Curry, it would have been over, man. Like I told you, one of the greatest point guards of all time, setting up the best shooter of all time, it would have been game over. But I still think Chris Paul has a little bit left in the tank. I think even he has talked about that. Like, he wants to keep playing for as long as possible. And look, I know Gambo said no, and we're going to have to see what happens because free agency is officially underway. There's already been a few signings here and there, nothing Suns related. But we're going to have to wait and see. And I want to remind people too, you guys, real quick. Yes, today is day one of NBA free agency, but technically free agency is like all summer. You know what I mean? So like, just because something may not happen today or tomorrow or even this week doesn't mean free agency is over. It's a long off season, y'all. Trades can be made and everything. We got summer league coming up, the Olympics. So I just want to remind Suns fans, especially, just please be patient, y'all. Be patient. We're going to have to wait and see what happens today. But I personally would welcome back Chris Paul to the Valley. I hope it happens. We need a point guard. But, as Jake Fisher mentioned, Steve, we can talk about this later and everything. But he mentioned Monte Morris, who I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't know that much about. But Kyle Lowry, I definitely know a lot about him. And Chris Dunn has also been in, Phoenix Suns talks and everything. Gonna have to see what happens with that. I'm sure there's other players on the list. In fact, later I'll pull up a list of all the available free agents that you sent me. So we'll go over that later. But I would welcome Chris Paul back to the Valley. Real quick, Steve, too, if I interrupt you at any point, it's just because I'm checking my phone. I'm going to pull up Woj and Shams and everything. I'll be like, holy crap, Steve, that's breaking news and all that. So, but yeah, I'm excited, man. This is going to be a fun show. I would welcome Chris Paul back to the Valley. Again, we can keep talking about it if you want, but there is other Suns news. Do you have any kind of final thoughts on the Chris Paul talk while we wait and see what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think bringing him back, I would like it. Let's just say that. I think there would be a lot of positives. And yes, I know he gets injured. We all know that. We all do.
Everybody gets injured.
So you got to ask, is the juice worth the squeeze? Okay. That's what you really got to ask. Would you rather sit through all those turnovers and then have the turnovers continue to plague us this year, or not have to witness all that and we can all collectively hope and pray that he stays healthy, and then maybe he does. Maybe he wins and we win it all and he retires.
That'd be amazing.
It'd be a storybook ending, but you never know.
Obviously I want us to win an NBA championship and everything. I don't want to get greedy here. I want us to win like 5 titles, but I just want us to win one. And how incredible would it be to have Chris Paul, who did so much for this franchise, to come home, win a championship with us, and then ride into the sunset. And real quick, you guys, this is my bias fanboy talking here, but I do want to remind Suns fans how much Chris Paul did to us. You and I referenced it earlier. Like, you and I were fans long before we even got Chris Paul. And quick side note, just kind of pat myself on the back here, I was covering this team on YouTube long before we even got Chris Paul. You know what I mean? And just the way that Chris Paul not only changed like the culture of the team, the mindset of the team, made us not only a playoff contender, but a championship contender as well. Everything he did for Devin Booker too.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Chris Paul, please, please come back to the Phoenix Suns. I just think it would be a great move. But Steve, we can move on here again while we're just waiting. I will pull up Woj's Twitter and Sham's Twitter. I also got Gambo and Jake Fisher all linked here. I can add more people too, like Bobby Marks is really good and everything. But we do have some other Suns related topics to talk about. And let's really start with the two players that actually have re-signed with the Phoenix Suns. Real quick, though, we have 268 people in here. I need everybody to crush that like button. And I also just want to remind you guys that we are live on ThunderStash Gaming's YouTube channel as well. So everybody crush that like button, share the show, subscribe to ThunderStash Gaming as well. Link is down below in the description. So Steve, let's talk about it, man. Again, we're just waiting for the news to drop in. But the players that have actually signed that we know of, I believe Woj tweeted it, Shams, etc. Royce O'Neal and Bol are back. And I am excited, man. Royce O'Neal, you know, only played it was like half the season sort of and the playoffs with us. But Bol was with us all year, even though he was kind of on the bench for a while. But both of them provided a lot to the Phoenix Suns. I mean, obviously Royce O'Neal with the 3-and-D wing, also kind of being a starter for us when we needed him. And at times a pretty good three-point shooter, kind of struggled in the playoffs. So Bol sort of had a rocky, but yet productive season. Like I said, was on the bench for a very long time, then actually started getting playing time. And while the stats may not have been there, I thought he was really productive, definitely grew a little bit. I think at times he was a little underrated on defense. And I don't know if you've seen, like, pretty much what I'm trying to say is there was a photo that surfaced maybe like a week or so ago. He was in the gym with Kevin Durant and Chet Holmgren from the OKC Thunder.
I saw.
Like, I love that. That dude just seems to be locked in. And he's going to be, I don't know if he officially made it. And I think it's Sudan's Olympic team. I probably just butchered that. The country he's from, Sudan.
Sudan.
Yeah, Sudan. I'm sorry, y'all. My apologies. He's on their training camp roster, and I think he's got a good chance to make it. So it just seems like he is locked in and just plays basketball. Like, that's Kevin Durant right there, pretty much. You know what I mean? So Bol re-signed, Royce O'Neal re-signed, and if I'm getting this correctly, I think Royce O'Neal was like 4 years, $44 million, I believe.
That's correct.
And fun little tidbit too. And I found this interesting. If Zach Lowe's reporting is true, let me pull this up real quick. Zach Lowe said something along the lines. Give me a second here. I'm going to share the screen. That Royce O'Neal's deal has no options, so no team or player option. Let me show it on the screen real quick. I'm sorry. So this is Zach Lowe from ESPN. Deal has no options, team or player, and is fully guaranteed all the way. Sources tell ESPN. So, Steve, I know that was a lot to unpack there. What are your thoughts? You can start with either Royce O'Neal or Bol. Any thoughts? Are you happy with these signings? And we also have some other Suns players we need to talk about afterwards. So, what do you think, man?
Very happy. Very happy with the signings. Happy to see that Royce is back. I thought he played very well he played 30 regular season games, and then of course the 4 games in the playoffs. But I thought he was great, especially because I've said it before, but I did not believe in our offensive scheme. Do I believe in our players? 100%, 110. But the offensive scheme, our actual offensive playbook, did not believe in that at all.
Yeah.
And he produced within that playbook is my point. So now that that's going to change, I think he's going to fit in really nice in what our new system is going to be under our new coach. So that's exciting. I think it's a good deal too. I think it's kind of a win-win situation.
Yep.
Like, as far as the contract goes, it's not absurd for us. And I think he is happy with that contract. I think it's a good deal for both sides. So great on that. We need someone who can stretch the floor. Royce is perfect at that. He is a bona fide 3-point threat. He played great defense. I'm very happy with it. So, Bull, very happy. I love Bull. When we signed him last year, I was so excited because I followed Bull for a long time. I think since he was like a teenager,
Yeah.
when he started becoming noticed on YouTube and everything. So I've watched Bull for a long time, and when he got the minutes, he produced. And for everyone that watched the whole season unfold, he started getting better as the season went on. We all saw that.
Yep.
And that's a combination of things. It's a combination of getting minutes. It's also knowing that you're actually going to get minutes. So for anyone who's played like true organized sports, whether it be in a league or high school or collegiate level, you guys know what it's like to get minutes when you don't know you're going to get minutes versus getting minutes when you know you're going to get these minutes. We've seen it in the NBA. We've seen it at all the levels. When you know you're going to consistently get X amount of minutes, it's a lot easier to produce when you know you're actually going to get playing time versus, hey, coach played me today, and now for the last 6 games I haven't played at all. I don't know what's going on. It shoots players' confidence level down drastically versus, hey, I'm getting consistent minutes, right? I must be doing good. And then they go out there and they produce. People who feel good about themselves produce good results. It's proven. So, I'm hoping that our new coach is going to give him playing time. I believe he will. I believe that's probably why he's staying, why he's going to re-sign with the Suns. And again, I'm just a huge fan. Like when I saw that he was going to be re-signing, I was like, okay, I think it's safe to pick up a Bull jersey now.
Oh yeah.
I think it's safe. 2 years now with us. I think it's safe. And I'm happy because sometimes I get mad at myself for not getting a Bull jersey last year. Because you just never know how long a player like that can stick around because he has bounced around. And I think he's bounced around because he hasn't really gotten a true opportunity. And I do think he was underrated on defense because he was starting to learn to just put your hands up, straight up. Show your wingspan. Players are going to have a hard time shooting over that. Not only that, we played team defense last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that we're going to be doing that same, team defense philosophy because, actually, I know we're not going to be doing that because it didn't really work.
Right.
That's something we talked about last time, Brandon. Everyone's got to buy in to the team defense strategy. Like all 5 guys on the court have to be like holding a string and moving along that string. That's how the team defense works. You have to properly rotate. And if one person messes up, the whole defense is screwed. Wide open shots. How many wide open threes did we see against the T-Wolves in the playoffs?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we're going to do that this year, which means he should have a better opportunity to showcase his defense because it's not a team defense. And might I add, I don't know why we haven't done this. Give this man a sponsor. He should be on the Earnhardt commercials. That ain't no Bull. Come on, man. It's too easy. It's too easy, right?
Get Bull a sponsor right now. No, I agree with everything you said, man. That's one thing that I might have left out, and I think you did touch on it. Like he did improve, throughout the season, and especially on defense. I think I might have touched on the defensive part, but you're absolutely right, man. And I love what you said about like getting minutes, having confidence in yourself rather than being benched and saying like, did I do something wrong? Did I not play well and everything? I absolutely love how you worded that. And yeah, Bull planning to re-sign with the Phoenix Suns, as Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted out. And one thing I was reading a couple articles like on Bright Side of the Sun and on Arizona Sports and everything. I want to just quickly go back to Royce O'Neal. And this is a quote from Bright Side of the Sun. But the fact that Phoenix was able to bring back O'Neal back with an average salary of about $11 million is a big win for James Jones and the Suns. His contract is tradable if need be and allows the team, some flexibility moving forward. I'm not saying the Suns are going to trade Royce O'Neal. That's not what I am saying. But Steve, sometimes things don't really work out. Players got to go. It's a business first. That is a pretty flexible contract. Was it maybe a little bit of an overpay? Possibly. But again, he's a 3-and-D player, good culture guy. He even talked about, I saw not really a press conference, but a post shoot around where he was like, yeah, I wanted to be in Phoenix. I want to stay here. I want to resign. Sort of like Grayson Allen said, by the way. So we're not going to trade Royce O'Neal anytime soon. I'm glad he's back. And even with, with the whole CBA and second apron and all these luxury tax penalties and all that stuff, it's a good move. And even before this new CBA kicked in, the way that I look at it, the NBA is expensive. Like, there's a reason these guys get millions upon millions of dollars because teams are offering that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, pretty good deal, flexible deal. And I'm both really excited for Bol. I don't think Bol's like contract details have been said, but it's just a 1-year deal. And like I said, man, not too long ago, he was in a gym with Kevin Durant and Chet Holmgren. Like, this dude is just locked in the gym, and I love it, man. Shout out to Bol. Shout out to Royce O'Neal, man. I am happy for them both. Real quick, Steve, just to keep you updated if you haven't been following. Really nothing crazy has happened besides James Harden, I guess, if you want to call that crazy news. Nothing on Paul George yet. Nothing on LeBron. We can talk about all that later. I'm just keeping you updated. There was a funny tweet from one of my favorite follows on Twitter, AZ Sports Zone, formerly known as Zona Hoops. I retweeted him on this. Yeah. He said, are all 28 front offices quitting right now? Like, for real, there hasn't been nothing really spectacular going on. But I like the little response below. It says, a little too quiet right now. I agree. Like, it's a little too quiet. Maybe that means that there's some news. There's some stuff that's going to break real quick. And Steve, if you don't mind, just real quickly, wanted to give a shout out to my friend Casey, who was nice enough to design the thumbnail for today's show. Really appreciate it. He's also done a lot of behind the scenes producing for my shows, and he also was the one that made that cool intro that you guys saw earlier. So big shout out to Casey. And by the way, this is what the thumbnail looks like, by the way. He worked on that for me last night. Also included your name in there, ThunderStash, and I appreciate him doing
Great
that.
job.
Great thumbnail right there. Just wanted to give him a big shout out. So Steve, unless you have any final thoughts on Royce and Bol, we can move on to some players who their free agency might be up in the air. But just real quick, any final thoughts on Royce or Bol being re-signed?
Yeah, one final thought is, let me remind everybody that Bol's only 24 years old.
Thank you for saying that.
He's a kid. Like, he's young. In the NBA, he's young. That's 24 years old. He's a young guy. And I think he's only going to get better because, as you said, he was working out with Katie in the gym. I mean, I've seen so many videos since we signed him of him working out with other players. So many. And again, he just needs that opportunity. That's it.
Yep.
If we give him an opportunity and consistent minutes, he is going to produce for us. So really happy about Bol.
I'm glad you said that too, because obviously this team is still forming and still taking shape. And Mike Budenholzer has obviously been hired as our head coach, and he's hired a few assistant coaches as well. David Fizdale has returned as well. One of our more vocal coaches from last year when we definitely needed players and coaches to be vocal. You know what I mean? Yeah. Taking shots there at Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, but that's okay. I mean it. So we got our coaching staff. The roster is taking shape. And I agree with you. Bol's going to get those minutes because, we just drafted 2 rookies potentially maybe a third one because Jalen Bridges is on a two-way spot, but they're going to get Bol's going to get playing time over them. But even that, like, I feel like Coach Bud is going to give everybody a shot. And if you're producing on offense, producing on defense, he's going to give you minutes. And speaking of the offense, you kind of touched on this earlier, I believe. It's a new offensive system and a new defensive system. And hopefully we actually look like a team where we can space the floor, put Bol in the corner, put him wherever, have him shoot when the big three gets double or triple teamed or whatever. That's another reason I'm glad we got Royce O'Neal back as well. I'm so excited to see what happens with Bol this year, man. I cannot wait.
You know, there was a lot of kind of like parallels made when we hired Coach Bud. And you may have touched on this before.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Jrue Holiday, who obviously killed us in the finals. And I really respect his game. I respect his play. He's a very, very good player. And he plays fair. I like it. But Jrue Holiday, you guys know he wasn't a point guard. Prior to coming.
More like a combo guard.
Yeah. He played shooting guard primarily, even though he doesn't shoot a lot. He was shooting guard to basically defend. He was not a primary ball handler prior to the Bucks. So the parallel, of course, is that Beal is not a point guard, right? He's a shooting guard. That was his job. He's going to probably play some point guard for us. But the thing is that Coach Bud obviously did a really good job transitioning Holiday to becoming a point guard in that driving kick kind of system that they had.
Right.
And so immediately when we hired him, that was being discussed locally here on Arizona Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's true. I remember that. I remember Holiday was not a point guard prior to joining the Bucks. So, you know, that's something to look forward to as well.
That's why, look, I know it's just preseason, but like I'm really kind of hyped for that first preseason game because I want to see what our offense looks like. I'm literally going to have my face right in front of the TV for those first few offensive possessions for the Suns because I want to see what they look like, man. You know what I mean? I cannot wait to see that first preseason game. And I know players take it easy during preseason. They're holding back until the regular season, but I'm going to be glued to that TV screen to see what our offense looks like. Because it will just be, I always say this about preseason, whether we have a good roster or not, I'm like, preseason gives us a small preview of what teams are going to look like. And I cannot wait.
It reminds me, I just looked it up. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Wild. Okay. So 2004, quick story. That was the offseason that we signed Steve Nash. And I was, again, my cousin Jim and I were so excited to go see the Suns with Nash because we really truly believed we were going to do something special.
Right.
And of course we did. We went to the preseason home opener and it was against the Jazz and we won. This is back when they had Carlos Boozer. Like they had a good team back then.
That's a throwback right there.
We beat them 108-67. Absolutely smashed them. So going from a team that only had 20 some wins to literally beating the crap out of the Jazz. That was really exciting. So yeah, it is going to be exciting to see what our offense looks like. Very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun. Just really excited for everything, man. Maybe later in the show, we can get your thoughts on the players that we drafted. I've talked about them a lot in detail during live shows and in videos, but let's kind of transition here, Steve, because we're already 40 minutes in. We got 333 people in here, by the way. So everybody crush that like button, share the show. But just real quick, Steve, let's kind of focus on some players who may not be returning. And there's sort of been some weird reporting, and I'm not trying to attack the reporters here. At first, and I forgot if it was Gambo or Jake Fisher or Mike Scotto. There's lots of reporting around it. At first, we were told that Damian Lee was going to, exercise his player option and come back. Same thing with Josh Okogie. Now, real quick, Gerald Bourguet from PHNX, they do great work. I've been on their show before. I love those guys. Gerald Bourguet, every time these two reports on Damian Lee and Josh Okogie were announced, he tweeted and said, there is still a chance that they both could come back. They're just kind of restructuring their contract, if you will. And then Gambo even kind of said that too. He was like, the Suns do want Okogie and Lee back. Real quick, though, there's only so many roster spots to go. And you know me, I keep it very positive. I keep it optimistic here. But maybe some changes need to be made. I would love to see Damian Lee in our system. Again, talking about Mike Budenholzer, spacing the floor, three-point shooting and all that, because we didn't really see much of that last year. And this is probably overly optimistic. This is my biased fanboy talking here. I'm not saying we would have beat the Wolves in the playoffs last year if we had Damian Lee. I'm not even saying we would have been a better team if we had Damian Lee last year. But I think we would have at least won a couple more games if we had a healthy Damian Lee. Maybe we would have been a better three-point shooting team. I'm just saying, That's just my bias talking. So, Steve, even though there's been a lot of weird reporting, and quick side note, I've told you this, I trust Mike Scotto's reporting. I trust Gambo. I trust Gerald. I trust all of them. So what are your thoughts about this, man? Do you think maybe it's time to move on? Do you want to see Damian Lee and Okogie back? Is there even room for them on this? I know it's a lot of questions to throw at you at once, but it's just for the conversation. So what are your thoughts, man?
I think with Damian, you mentioned that we probably would have won a couple more games. And I do think about the times that Grayson had missed some games.
Yes.
And yeah, if he would have been able to fill in for Grayson, or the times that Eric Gordon missed games, if he would have been able to fill in there,
that would have been so cool.
It would have been helpful because think about it. What was, if I recall, what was Damian's 3-point percentage the prior year when he was healthy?
I'll look it up real quick, but probably like
it was top 5, right?
Yeah, it was maybe higher than 40%. Damian Lee, I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we had Damian, who came over to the Suns and obviously just killed it, especially when you compare it to his prior role with the Warriors. And then we had Grayson come over from the Bucks.
44.5%, by the way. I'm sorry. 44.5% in 2022-23. That was a career high, by the way, because the season before that, it was 33%. That was when he was with the Warriors. 44.5%, dude.
And Grayson had a huge jump too.
Yeah.
Huge, massive. So to have, my point is to have like two of the most deadly 3-point shooters together and actually playing and not one of them being hurt for the whole year, that would be nice. That'd be a nice luxury to have.
Yeah.
So Damian, would I like to see him? Yes, I hope he's healthy. I hope he's healthy because he was out for a long time. As far as Josh goes, I love Josh.
Yeah.
His defense is absolutely ferocious, and we need that because we all know you can't have enough guys like that on your team. Now, is he a liability with the offensive scheme that we had last season? Yeah, he was. Because our offensive scheme last season, a lot of times it had him being the only guy left open, and you got to knock down that shot. So yeah, that was a liability. But again, you always got to ask, does the good outweigh the bad?
Yep.
The pros and cons here. And I think there's more pros for sure than cons with Okogie.
Yeah.
We're not asking him to be an offensive threat. We need you to finish at the rim and play defense.
Yep. And he was great at getting to the free throw line at times. Like he would just drive to the rim, draw the foul. I loved it. And I understand the 3-point concerns. Maybe we'll talk about it later, but that's sort of a concern with our new draft pick, Ryan Dunn. We'll talk about that later. I understand it. I hope Josh Okogie is working on that 3-point shot if he does come back. I know I hit you with a lot of questions too, but I just figured we would talk about this because free agency is kind of going slow right now. There's really not too much going on. But hey, we can talk Suns. That's what a good majority of the audience is here for anyways. So, but I also love Josh Okogie. I'm not trying to pick on them here or anything, but I'm just, we're playing messenger here. We're just reporting on what's being reported on. We're talking about it. We will have to wait and see, man. But the reporting around this is kind of a little confusing too. Like one moment said they were coming back, next moment saying they're opting out. Now, I did say this. I was talking to some friends and some other people. I think I even tweeted it. They might just be, quote, testing the waters of free agency. That's what free agency is all about. Get your feet a little wet. See if teams are making you offers. Maybe the Suns are like, hey, okay, we'll throw you a little bit more money here.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, man.
What I had read with Okogie is that, of course, he opted out, but we have his early bird rights.
Okay.
And the Suns do want to re-sign him.
Yeah.
But for more than the veteran minimum. This is exactly what I got as far as the intel there. And then with Damian, he just straight up declined his 2.8 million player option to enter unrestricted free agency. So Damian's unrestricted.
Gotcha.
Josh, we have his early bird rights. So I think that the early bird rights means we could like match another team's offer to like to 105%.
Yeah, I believe so. It's in our. I think that kind of happened with like Grayson Allen, I believe, and I think maybe Royce O'Neal. I could be wrong on that, but you get the point.
Yeah, so there's unrestricted free agency, then restricted, and then there's the bird right factors, which that's where it can get a little gray. But yeah, you know, would I like to have them? Sure, I would. But then we also got to ask, like, the whole idea of like, what are we doing with this entire roster? Like Eric Gordon, that's another name. Like he declined his 3.4 million player option to become a free agent, and I think he's gone. I think he's going to be as good as gone. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I did talk about that a little bit in my videos and live shows because at first he told The Athletic, quote, he's 50-50 on returning. And then somebody from The Athletic was like, there might be a potential reunion with the Houston Rockets, which, by the way, they won 21 more games this year. They were great on defense. They might be a playoff team this year, so him going back there might make some sense. But anyways, but then, yeah, I think the news came out. He's declining his option, free agency and all that. I like Eric Gordon. Again, this is just I know I keep saying the same thing here, but it's true. I kind of wish I would have seen Eric Gordon in a Mike Budenholzer system. I had some friends DM me about that, like, oh, dude, I want to see Eric Gordon come back, man. But then again, there's a lot of Suns fans that were like, I'm so glad Eric Gordon's gone because he was inconsistent at times and it showed. And in all fairness, you know, like when he didn't play good, we didn't win many games. That's just a fact. But when he did play good, like if he had 20 points or more, we won a lot of games. And that is a fact. So what do you think on the Eric Gordon stuff?
Well, it's tough. Like, Brandon, if you look at his stats for last year, and I don't have his full stats pulled up.
I can pull them up if you want.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty good. His stats speak to a different narrative than how we feel, is what I'm saying. So it's kind of difficult because it's like, yeah, I understand what everyone's saying about his inconsistency. I get it. We all watch the same thing. But then when I look at his numbers
on the screen too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I pulled up his numbers earlier. I was like, I mean, let's see here. So he shot 44% from the field and about 38% from downtown. So almost a percent
11
higher
points
than his career. But again, I think so many of our players didn't do well under our offensive scheme. So
Great.
it's unfortunate. Like you said, you talked to a few of your friends about this. It's unfortunate that we don't get to see him under Coach Bud, because honestly, I think this system that we had was just god awful. It was really, this was a very bad offensive scheme for us. It reminds me, you know what this team reminds me of? You probably already know where I'm going.
I can't wait for you to say it.
Yeah, you know where I'm going. This reminds me of the Terry Porter Phoenix Suns. The team no, it's I'm saying, like, look, we had the Terry Porter Phoenix Suns.
Yep.
It didn't go well. That was when we were hosting the All-Star game. We get rid of Terry Porter in the offseason. We bring in Alvin Gentry. We bring back Alvin, bring back the 7 seconds or less. Remember, we brought in Terry to bring defense.
Yep.
What did we bring in our last coach to do? What is he known for? Defense. Did it work? No, it didn't work. So now we're going to go back to what worked. We brought in Alvin. We made it to the Western Conference Finals. Lost in Game 6 to the Lakers. One of the games we literally almost won was when the ball fell into Ron Artest's lap at the end of the game. Remember that?
Oh God.
Got
Yep,
the rebound,
I do.
flipped it in, made the shot. We lost.
I was at Uncle Sam's with a lot of my friends that day. We had some beers, and I remember we were all standing up when it happened, and I just sat down in disbelief.
Heartbreak Hotel right there, man.
I will never, ever forget that.
I'll never forget it
happened so fast, too. It was just like, bam.
Yeah, but to me, that's what we just saw. So my point is that you could bring back almost the same roster, same nucleus with a different coach and get completely different results, because that's what that Suns team did.
Yep.
So it's something to think about.
Real quick, I'm kind of glad you said that too. You know, keep in mind too, Suns fans, this was back before like social media was like a big thing. I think I might have had my YouTube channel back then, but I wasn't talking about the Suns back then. And I just remember that coaching hire kind of being weird. I was like, what? It's like Terry Porter. And again, this was back before Woj and Shams and social media and all that. And I mean, I'm sure social media was around, but it wasn't as big as it was today. I just remember that being weird. That's just a quick little side story.
That's because it was Sarver's business partner.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember I think I have it clipped on this channel. You and I, especially you led a whole conversation about the Suns coaching carousel. That's actually a video you can find on my channel right now. That was one of the best segments, especially you, but we have ever done on this channel. And I remember Terry Porter was in there, and
it was Terry Porter and Lance Blanks.
Yep.
Remember? I always said Lance Blanks because he always shoots blanks. Always. It was those two guys, though. And obviously, we know Terry Porter from playing in the NBA.
Yep.
You know, playing over there in Portland.
He was a fine player. He was okay.
Yeah. But Terry got the job, and so did Lance Blanks, based on Sarver's real estate business dealings with them. Because that's the business Sarver worked in. It was real estate. That's how he made his money. So these guys should have never got the job. It was very clear. They proved it for us that they should have never had the job. But again, I got to say, a new coach with a similar or even like the same roster, same nucleus, we're going to get way different results this year. I feel confident in saying that.
Yeah. And you know what, man? We have to. We absolutely have to, or it's going to be another frustrating season. And I don't want to put unrealistic expectations on this team, but I am going to put higher expectations than I did last year. And that's saying something, because you know, Steve, how much fan excitement, how much media pressure and expectation there was, and just fan expectations, and even the pressure and expectations these players put on themselves, like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. It is championship or bust. That's the mindset that you should have on a championship contending team, whether you're a rookie or you're Kevin freaking Durant, man. We have to see those results offensively. That's why I said, I'm going to say it like a million times this offseason, I am going to be glued to the TV that first preseason game just to see what our offense is going to look like. I cannot wait, man. It is going to be so much fun. And yeah, man, I don't know. I'm hyped. So real quick, there was sort of a little news here. It's not like anything groundbreaking. But I believe Russell Westbrook is going to I think they said he's going to, let me just pull it up real quick. I'm sorry. He's going to opt into his contract, but they're going to be looking like at a trade or something like that. I'm not going to lie. I don't know your thoughts on it, but I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right too. Yeah. So this is coming from Jake Fisher. Was Russell Westbrook having, let me pull it up, having opted into his $4 million contract, the Clippers are now working to find a trade for Russell Westbrook. And this might sound like an unpopular opinion. I like Russell Westbrook. I doubt he gets traded here because what the hell are we going to trade for Russell Westbrook? But Russell Westbrook maybe on the trade market here. We'll see. I don't know. Just thought I would bring that up real quick because that's sort of the latest news we got going here. We're almost an hour in, by the way, just to let people know.
As far as Russ goes, I actually think he would be a good fit in Phoenix, and I thought I thought that last year as well.
Yep.
Look, man, we don't need Russ to shoot threes. Okay, we know he struggles at the 3-point line. He's not the 3-point shooter that he was in Oklahoma City early on in his career, right? He's not anymore, but we don't need him to do that. We don't. We need him to attack. We would need someone like that to attack the rim the way he does and to drive and kick. Again, that's it. I think Russ would be a good fit. I did see that he was re-signing with the Clippers, and when I did see that, I was like, that sucks. Because I thought about the idea. But now that you're saying that they're looking to trade him, I wonder
according
where
to
he
Jake
ends up.
Fisher of Yahoo Sports. Yeah, me too, man. I don't know where he's going to end up because it clearly hasn't worked. It didn't work with the Lakers. It might have worked at times with the Clippers, but obviously it didn't because they're looking to move him. And obviously the big holdup here for free agency, and I guess we can kind of talk about it to an extent. This isn't really our field, if you will, but I think maybe there hasn't been much free agency news because of everything that's going on with Paul George. But before we talk about that, I'll just give my thoughts on Russell Westbrook. I'm a fan, man. This guy is one of the greatest guards, whether he's a point guard, combo guard, shooting guard, whatever. He is one of the greatest guards ever. And, a triple-double machine. I believe he has the most triple-doubles in NBA history. Former MVP, multiple-time All-Star, All-NBA and everything. One of the greatest point guards ever. And even though he's not the player he used to be, and he is declining, he is getting older, this guy would bring it every single game. Do you remember when we played the Clippers 2 years ago? I think in the first or second round. Remember when Westbrook got in that fight with that like fan or whatever in the hallway? You remember that? It was that series. I remember, man, there was one game where he pretty much won the game for the Clippers. You know what I mean? It was just because of his activity on the boards, attacking the rim, getting to the foul line. And real quick, Shams Charania is also confirming the Russell Westbrook stuff. He says that they're actively looking to move Russell Westbrook. So just wanted to share that with everybody watching along live. But my point is, this guy would bring it every single day, man. And I would welcome Russell Westbrook.
That's one thing I'll always say about Russ is that you can never take that away from him, his competitive fire. Like that's not somebody you would ever need to motivate. He always brings it, man. He's a self-motivator. He wakes up motivated. It would be nice. I've always thought that would be nice, though, personally.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, man.
It'd definitely be good to keep some tabs on him and see I just wonder, like, they want to do a trade.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where he would end up. Now, real quick, there's a lot of teams that have salary cap. Not really sure if that would factor too much in here, but like I know the Sixers got salary cap room, the Magic, the Jazz, and there's like 2 or 3 other teams there. And again, a lot of this sort of I think is waiting to see what Paul George is going to do. Like I don't know. And real quick, because you sent me this, I'll pull up the better picture too. So sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Not sorry to all the Rockets fans who thought there was going to be a Devin Booker trade to Houston, which that was ludicrous. That was never going to happen. Devin Booker, as you can see here on the photo, my computer's being a little laggy. I apologize. But as you can see, Devin Booker at the Phoenix Mercury game, watching Caitlin Clark. And yeah, I love it,
You
man.
see,
Wearing the Team USA hat as well. Yeah, I love it, man. Devin
you can
Booker.
see the first comment there. Coach Bud's in the building too.
Oh, let's go. And he was sitting next to Matt Ishbia. Devin Booker was. Yeah, let's pull that photo up real quick. Also, real quick, Shams reported that Russell Westbrook and the Denver Nuggets have interest. Holy cow. You know what? I know we don't want the Nuggets to get better. I actually kind of like that for the Nuggets because, you know, Jamal Murray is a great player. He's a playoff riser, but there has been the injury history. Him coming off of the bench potentially, maybe even starting for them, because who knows what happens with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Interesting.
I could maybe see it. But hey, I'm just saying, in the very unlikely event that Russell Westbrook gets traded, I would be a fan for it. I know a lot of Suns fans wouldn't like it. I'd be a fan for it. I would welcome it. Maybe that's just me and my bias towards Russell Westbrook. I'm a big fan. We'll have to wait and see. But man, now that I think Westbrook and the Nuggets, it just kind of makes sense. I don't know why. Oh boy.
Where do we think Klay's going to go? It says he's talking with the Mavericks, Lakers, Clippers, and Philly. Because I think we need that to drop too. I want to see that drop because
I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, if the Clippers are a team that's interested, obviously Klay plays shooting guard, Russ he was playing the backup point guard. But how much money do you have for all these guys as well? So I want to see that ball drop too. Because I think learning what happens there will give us better clarity on Paul George, because Paul George was talking with Philly as well.
Yep.
So
that's what I was going to say was the Sixers have, I believe $63 million in salary cap, because technically the only players on their roster who are signed are Joel Embiid, Paul Reed, like Ricky Council. Technically, you could throw Tyrese Maxey in there because you know he's going to get the extension. He's not going anywhere. So they technically have like 5 players. So if you really think about it, they only have Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey who are signed. I think everybody else is like an unrestricted or restricted free agent. So Paul George, maybe to the Clippers, it does make a lot of sense. But Klay Thompson, to answer your original question, first off, let me just say this. I don't think it's anything hostile towards, the Clippers and all that. I think, or not the Clippers, the Warriors, excuse me, Klay and the Warriors. I don't think it's anything hostile. Like, he's one of the greatest Warriors ever. He's one of the best shooters ever. I think it's just a matter of maybe a little bit of a lack of communication and obviously money. That's what's happening there, in my personal opinion. But I think it's going to be whoever can give Klay the best chance to win a championship. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is kind of true. Whoever can give him the best chance to win a championship. But like, I wonder if a team maybe has to really believe that Klay Thompson still has a lot left in the tank. We all know he can shoot, but he's declined. He's had injuries. He came off the bench last year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. And as we've mentioned lots of times throughout the show, got to wait to see what happens with Paul George.
Yeah, he had a big
I don't.
decline
Yeah,
last year. I'm sure you've seen it, but there's definitely some highlight reels or low light reels, you could call it, of Klay
yeah,
that I've watched recently on X, and I remember seeing some of it too live. He does not look like himself. He does not look like the old Klay, and he's probably never going to go back to the old Klay because he ain't getting any younger. He did have a major injury. Was it his Achilles?
yeah. I believe so. Wasn't that during the finals? Then didn't he like re-hurt it too, or it might have been the knee in the finals, and then he hurt the Achilles and probably had some other injuries as well. Like,
Yeah, he had a lot,
yeah,
and I obviously I ruptured, completely shredded my Achilles tendon
ouch.
playing basketball. So I know how it is. It's a
Mm,
really hard injury to come back from. A lot of people don't. But he had compounded injuries. It wasn't just that. He's had a lot. And
mm-hmm.
he just looks like he has lost quite a few steps.
Yeah,
And I'm not surprised that he's moving on from the Warriors. I'm really not surprised. I think they're done. I don't know how much that dude's got left in the tank.
kind of glad you said that about the Warriors. So real quick, I think I've seen some things about Klay and maybe Dallas, but like I don't know how much salary cap they have. They already got Kyrie, Luca. They just traded for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, all that stuff. But anyways, um, real quick on the Warriors. Obviously, every dynasty comes to an end, and I know they won the championship in 2022. Whatever. They didn't even make the playoffs last year. You know what I mean? Steph Curry's not getting any younger. We all know Draymond Green. I don't want to talk about Draymond on this channel, but whatever. He's getting older. And sure, they have like a little bit of youth. Moses Moody, Brandon Podjemski, however you pronounce that name. Um, the other rookie they had last season, I think his last name is Jackson or something like that. I'm probably butchering that. They got a little bit of youth, but again, Steph Curry's getting older, Draymond's getting older, and it clearly seems that Klay is going to be gone. Like I give it a 99% chance that Klay is gone. So do they just ride this out with Steph Curry for as long as possible? I'm not saying they're going to blow it up this offseason. That's very unlikely. But like, okay, Klay leaves. They make the Warriors make a couple moves. Draymond stays. You're an 8 seed at best. Like, what are we doing here, Warriors? Like, when do they legit pull the plug and just say we can't compete anymore, Steph? We're sorry. We understand if you want to go. Like, you know what I mean? All
I
dynasties
do.
come to an end, man. Like, I would not want to be the Warriors right now. And plus, Bob Myers left their front office. He's in broadcasting now. He was the kind of architect around all of that.
He was.
And I don't know, man. I don't know what the Warriors are doing. So,
I mean, yeah, the West is loaded. It's always loaded. We say this every year. We say it. Mainstream sports media always says it. West is always loaded. However, I do think it's even more loaded.
yeah,
I really do, because there's teams that are definitely up and coming now. Like we're going to see the Spurs improve.
yeah. The Grizzlies are a lot healthier. Well, they're gonna. We assume the Grizzlies will be healthier. We'll see what they do this offseason. Denver, maybe they'll pick up the pieces and be better than they were last year. The Rockets, I mentioned the Rockets earlier. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them. 21 more wins, dude. They won 41 games this season. Alfred Sengun goes down with an injury. They win 11 straight. They almost made the play-in tournament, dude. Ime Udoka is their coach. They all focus on defense. We'll see. The West is loaded. Oh, and then, somebody in the chat just mentioned it too. The Pelicans got better with the DeJounte Murray trade.
Yeah,
Like,
they did. Think
dude,
about
and that
this.
go ahead.
So obviously, we got the teams that made it. You want to pull this up? Actually, you want to pull up the
Yeah, I
NBA
can
standings?
I'll pull it up.
Let's just talk about this briefly.
Yeah, NBA stand. We got time to kill because really nothing's going on right now. I think everybody's waiting for Klay and Paul George to make their decisions. Let me just pull up the standings. Give me 1 second here. Okay. And again, Steve, we can really talk about whatever at this point until there's actual news. So let me just share the screen. Okay, so it's pulled up. Let me scroll down to the West. Maybe we can talk about the East too, but we'll start with the West as well. So here's the Western Conference. Can you see that okay? Let me make sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at this, right? So if you remember the 2022-23 season, if I recall, the Thunder had lost in the play-in tournament. Was that right?
I believe so. I think they were close. They were like on the rise. Yeah.
And then the next year, they're the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Huge jump. Okay.
And they made it to what, game 7 or 6 of the semis?
Yeah, they're dangerous. And Giglius Alexander, he's a free throw merchant. He's a free throw merchant.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to watch, but the refs call everything for him. It's like him and Austin Reeves, free throw merchants.
Don't even get me started.
So you got the Thunder. They're not going anywhere. Nuggets are not. T-Wolves. Okay, we can just say that for sure the top 6, they're not going anywhere.
So that's top 6. So that's the Thunder, Nuggets, Wolves, Clippers, Matt. Well, maybe we'll talk about the Clippers later. So top 6.
Yeah. Lakers, they're going to spend money.
So that's 7.
The NBA is going to find a way to get them involved. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Even
I'm
if
counting
it means,
right now. That's 7 teams.
Even if it means the Lakers shooting 20 more free throws than every team, every game, because we've seen it happen. We've already seen it happen.
Yep.
So that's sticking around. The Pelicans, well, Zion, can he stay healthy? That's always going to be a question.
Yep.
Brandon Ingram.
Question mark with him right
Where's
now.
He going?
Maybe.
Yeah, where's he going?
Yeah, maybe. Even if he stays, like Pelicans are probably in the top 10 of the West.
Kings.
Yeah. They had a rough season, but they still, play in tournament. Sorry to interrupt.
They had a rough season, but Herter got injured. Herter got hurt. And did Monk get hurt?
Yeah. Oh, he did. And that was a big reason they didn't,
That's a lot of their offensive firepower. Like that's how they extend the defense out to the 3-point line and then open up the middle for Sabonis. And that's how they're able to drive and kick. And when you don't have those 3-point threats, they're not going to be as good. But when those guys are healthy, extremely dangerous. So
exactly.
If you look at the teams that are rising, let's talk about that. I think the Rockets are rising. I'm sure you do as well.
Yep.
They're young. They're maturing. You remember the Rockets from a few years ago. And you're like, dude, you know what I mean? Like it was a very immature team. What was it? Jalen Green was just shooting every single shot. There was no shot that he didn't like.
He was trying to dunk on everybody too.
Yeah, it was kind of a clown show at times. Okay. The Jazz. Remember how hot the Jazz started?
Yeah.
You still got Laurie over there.
Yep.
I wonder about
the Jazz.
They had a great
draft too. They had a really good draft too. And they still have lots of, okay, real quick. I'm just reading something that Shams is reporting. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Clippers are working with Russell Westbrook. Okay, we already knew that. Okay, sorry, my bad. But yeah, so the Jazz, they had a really good draft. They still have tons of assets from the Mitchell and Gobert trades and whatever other trades they've made too. I know you know this name. Danny Ainge is in their front office, one of the brightest minds in basketball.
Yep.
And I think they had a really good season prior to this past season. So that was like 2022 or whatever.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, I think they kind of started off well, and then they said, all right, we're going to kind of quote tank without actually tanking.
Yeah, I remember that.
They only won 31 games, is my point. But they're young, they're athletic. Larry Markkinen is an all-star, borderline all-star player, really, really good player as well. Like I said, one of the brightest minds in basketball, tons of assets. I think there was even a small report Paul George could go to Utah. I doubt it though.
I did see that.
So we got a little bit of breaking news from Mike Scotto. This one hurts, man. The Philadelphia 76ers and free agent Andre Drummond have agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal. That was one of my targets, Andre Drummond. I wanted Andre Drummond. We can get back to the standings here in a minute.
Yeah.
But Andre Drummond was one of my targets. That hurts. That's from Mike Scotto of Hoops Hype, and I'll pull that up so everybody can see it.
So they're gonna have Embiid,
yep.
Reed, Paul Reed, and Drummond.
Yep. And sorry, my computer's just being slow.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's so again, Philly has the salary cap space. They have it. You got to spend it on somebody, whether Paul George comes to the team or not. You got to spend that money. I know some people, or sorry, I say some Suns fans didn't want Andre Drummond because he doesn't, quote, fit our system. But I was always saying, we don't even know what our system's going to look like right now.
No.
And I think Andre Drummond would be great because I think it was only like less than 20 minutes. The dude put up like 9 and like 10 rebounds or something like that.
Yeah.
The dude is a paint presence, sort of a post player, can dunk and everything. Long, athletic a little bit, can catch lobs, block shots. Like, I love it, man. Like, and as Suns King says right here, good luck rebounding against the 76ers. They also got a second round pick, I believe. I think his name is like Adam Bona or something. The dude is a athletic, long wing freak. So, yeah, good luck rebounding against the Sixers.
Damn.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt our standings talk, but I had to mention that. We can go back to the standings here in a minute.
The rich get richer.
Yeah. The rich get richer. Kind of glad you said that too, because the Celtics, they didn't do anything like mind-blowing in the draft, but they had a good draft too. And obviously they're the defending champions. So
yeah,
the rich get richer. There it is. Shams Charania reporting it from The Athletic. Andre Drummond plans to sign a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Sixers. He was on my kind of targets list. And this one hurts.
You know what? It's hard to believe. You guys know Drummond's only 30?
Yep. He's 30 years old, dude. It feels like he's been in the league forever.
It does. It really feels like he's been in the league for a long, long time. When did he join?
2007? Wait. No, 2012 was when he was drafted. Let's look it up. I should know this.
2012.
Yeah, 2012. I don't know why I thought 2007. I'm stupid.
It just feels like forever.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, he's only 30. He was born August 10th, 1993, dude.
So he came in the league at 18 then, because he's entering his 13th season, 2012.
We're pulling up his basketball reference page. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he must have been 18 years old.
2-time All-Star, 4-time rebounding champ, made an All-NBA team in 2015, played for a lot of teams throughout his career, from UConn, 12 years of experience. His career numbers are 12 points per game, but the real thing, 12 rebounds. He's averaged 12 rebounds per game throughout his career, 54%, probably all in the paint, by the way. That's Andre Drummond right there. That's why I'm a big fan of him. And I think he's climbing the ranks of the rebounding, like all-time rebound numbers too. That's how great of a rebounder he is. I just think he would have been fun on this team. I know that we wouldn't have used him for offense, but man, we could have used him for shot blocking, a big presence out there to set hard screens, catch lobs. I would have loved Andre Drummond, man, but that dream is now gone, at least for now. He's only 30. Maybe he'll join us in a couple of years.
Yeah, right. Reminds me of when we were trying to get Paul Millsap for like a decade.
Yeah, I know, right? Paul Millsap was a good player, man. And we all know Coach Budenholzer knows him very well.
Yeah, he would have been great in our system with Steve Nash back in the day when we were trying to get him.
Yep. You want to get back to the standings talk real quick? I think we left off on the Rockets.
Yeah. So the Rockets are climbing. The Jazz, we talked about the Jazz. I think they're going to do better.
Yeah,
But
they'll be better.
Memphis, the Grizzlies are going to
Yes,
be, they're going to make the playoffs, right? They didn't make
probably.
it because Ja was out.
Yeah.
So as long as Ja
And
can behave, right?
and and dude, you know where I'm at right now in Memphis. I went to a game with my sister. That roster was depleted.
They
They
were.
they had guys that I hadn't even heard of, and you know me, I follow this stuff. They had
Yeah.
guys I didn't even know who they were playing. That's when Booker dropped 40, by the way. So
Yeah.
just saying, they were
So
depleted by injuries.
they're going to make the playoffs. The only team, and I think the Spurs are going to do better, right?
Yeah, they're
They
still
are.
building around Wemby, but they'll be better.
They're going to get more than 22 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident in saying, actually, if the over-under was 22 wins for the Spurs, I'd be confident betting that they get more wins than that. The only
Yeah.
team in the West who's not rising on the up is Portland.
Yep.
That's it. I think the Lakers and probably us, maybe the Lakers. It's iffy because the NBA,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
has a lot involved there. I think the Warriors are going to be on a decline.
Yeah.
A little bit, depending on if they get anybody. Okay. If they don't make any big moves and they come back with the same roster, I think they're probably going to be on a decline because these other teams are up and coming. They're rising. They're going to get more wins. And if all these teams are getting more wins, Golden State can't get more wins too. So they had 46 wins. They might get 43, 40 wins, 39 wins. It's not going to be a huge fall, but I think it's going to be a fall. So my point is that looking at the West, man, we always say it's so stacked and it's so tough out West, but man, I got to say this is really stacked, like more stacked than I can remember in a while.
Yeah. That's where it kind of gets exciting. The NBA has to be loving the parity. In fact, Adam Silver even said it when the Celtics won the championship. And then he also sent out like an email thanking all the fans. There's been 6 different champions, I believe, in the last 10 years or something like that. Like the parity, you hear that word a lot. The parity in the NBA where teams are just so you know me, Steve, I've studied the history of basketball. We are literally in one of the best eras in terms of talent, like all around talent, from like the top guy to like the 10th guy on the bench. You know what I mean? And a good example of that, we can maybe talk about them later, is the New York Knicks, who just got our boy Mikal Bridges, by the way. We'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
But like that team is loaded. And they had a good draft too. We'll talk about them later, but that team is loaded. Even their bench could start for some teams. You know what I mean? So the fact that we literally just named like 12, 13 teams. There's only 15 teams in the West, and there's only 8 playoff spots. What Adam Silver, Mark Tatum, all the NBA people should be thrilled looking at the Western Conference.
To be fair to Portland, I think they'll get more than 21 wins.
Oh, yeah.
I think there'll be an improvement there too.
Yeah.
So
they have a lot of question marks, but good question marks, I guess, because they have a lot of guys under contract right now. I looked it up prior to the draft. I think they have like over 13 players under contract right now, which isn't a bad problem to have. But again, 15 roster spots, you can only offer so many. You know, Scoot Henderson didn't have a great rookie year, but kind of played better. They have a lot of young talent. Shaedon Sharpe is an incredible player. And who else do they got over there?
Well, they just got Denny.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that was a good sneaky trade by them.
I thought it was too. I thought it was too.
Oh, and they drafted Donovan Clingan. I'm not a huge draft expert, not a big college basketball fan, but I've heard and read so many great things about him. Obviously, they got DeAndre Ayton, although him and Robert Williams' future might be up in the air. They're not going to trade them, but like Ayton and Robert Williams. You have Donovan Clingan as well. That is 3 of the top, at least we can assume, 3 of the top big men, you know, front court, if you will, in the league right there. Because Donovan Clingan, so much potential, so much upside. Robert Williams has struggled to stay healthy, but when he's healthy, he's a pretty decent big. And we all know what DeAndre Ayton
Yeah.
can do. So just saying, Portland, I
Yeah.
agree with you. They might win a few games. And let's just pretend, I don't know if there's been any reporting around this. Let's say they trade Jeremy Grant and they bring in some more youth and some more talent. You know, I don't know. You mentioned the Denny. I can't pronounce his last name, Denny Avia or whatever, from the Wizards. He had a really good season for the
Avdia.
Wizards, by the way. Avdia, thank you. Denny
Yeah.
Avdia. Good season for the Wizards, man. I'm sorry to go on this little rant here, but I was kind of surprised when the Wizards traded him. I was like, whoa, I was like, what are you doing? He had a good year for you guys. But whatever. Wizards had a good draft. They got Alex Sarr, so
it's the Wizards, man.
yeah.
You know, they got
Go
Poole
ahead, go
over
ahead.
there in Kuzma.
Yep.
No leadership.
I've been strangely fascinated with the Wizards rebuild, but it's more of just their front office. I really like Michael Winger and Will Dawkins, who are running that team. And as you know, because we got Bradley Beal and because they traded Kristaps Porzingis, they literally tore it down.
Yeah.
They literally said, this is not working. You know how we say like teams are going to blow it up. They literally blew it up. So yeah, I agree with you. They got Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, no leadership. Maybe that's what they're trying to get. They're not going to win many games this year. Anyways, back to the Blazers. I could see at least a few more wins. They have a lot of good problems, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
think
good.
a few
It's
more.
good to have guys under contract, especially with the new CBA and all that. It's good to have that. But they're young. They're rebuilding. But man, look at the Western Conference. Dude, we have to be good. Like, there is no, we cannot be fighting. Every team in the West, you cannot be in that play-in tournament spot. You know what I mean? You have to have regular season wins. You have to win those, quote, winnable games. Real quick, sort of a little bit of breaking news. Kevin Porter Jr., wow, has signed a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. Didn't that guy get in trouble, kicked out of the league?
Yeah, he got in trouble.
Oh my God, that's Shams Charania from The Athletic reporting. I'll pull it up real quick and then we'll continue on this Western Conference rant here.
It says he reached the plea deal on his assault and harassment violation in January.
Man, Kevin Porter Jr. to the Clippers. So that probably also confirms that Paul George is gone. I mean, they got to fill out the wing spot. Yeah, Kevin Porter. Oh boy.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what he's got left. Maybe he's got his head on straight, kind of like Ja Morant. Maybe Ja Morant's finally got his head on straight. We'll see. By the way, speaking of the Grizzlies, they drafted Zach Edey. I kind of low-key like that for them. Again, not a college basketball guy. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt here. Kind of like that they got Zach Edey. They got Jaren Jackson Jr. That's going to be a tough front court right there. They got really a lot of size. They got a lot of wings, if they keep this team anyways, because they want to make the playoffs again. I think Taylor Jenkins is a really underrated coach. There was a stupid, quote, rumor that he was on the hot seat. And I'm like, it's not his fault the players got injured. I'm like, what are you talking about? So just saying. That's my Memphis talk.
I hear you. I think, like I said, I think Memphis gets in to the playoffs, no doubt. So, and Zach was a good pickup.
Yeah.
He's huge. He's huge.
You can't teach size. You know that too, Steve.
Oh. We got a shout out from Australia.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say real quick. I can't pronounce the first name. Forgive me, but Oso says, hi guys, watching from cold Melbourne, Australia. Thank you. We got Melbourne, Australia in the house. You guys, real quick, because again, free agency is kind of running slow here. Let us know in the chat where you are watching from. We have almost 400 people in here, dude. 400 people watching, you guys. That is huge. We're live on Suns Geek and on ThunderStash's gaming channel. Check us out, you guys. Subscribe to ThunderStash Gaming. The links are down below in the description. Almost 400 people, y'all. It's been a great Suns conversation. We can continue the Western Conference talk, but we could also talk about the Eastern Conference. But real quick, also says smash the like button. Steve, you're a content creator. You know this. Seriously, you guys, crush that like button. Share the show. It helps both of our channels. It helps me out. It helps keep the lights on over here, if you know what I mean. It tells YouTube that I and ThunderStash are doing a good job over here. Please crush that like button. It takes like 2 seconds. And obviously, I want you guys to subscribe to both of us. But if you don't subscribe, just keep watching. Even if you hate my ugly face, just keep watching, you guys, because that also tells YouTube, hey, you're watching Suns Geek. We're going to push out that content. You're watching ThunderStash Gaming. We're going to push out that content. Seriously, crush the like. And real quick, Steve, we got somebody from Tempe watching. Ivan, Navajo Nation, Arizona, says Buggy. Northport, Florida, John. And then Richmond, Virginia, says Ty. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from, you guys. We love your face, bro. Thanks, man. That's great. Steve, real quick, we can keep talking about the West, but would you want to focus a little more on the East?
Yeah,
kind of talk to the East real quick. Yeah. And again, man, if there's something you want to talk about, like it can be anything at this point. If there's anything you want to talk about it, man, we can kind of refocus our conversation while we're waiting for the news. What I'm thinking is going to happen here, man. Everyone's waiting for Paul George and Klay Thompson. And I think once that's official, then we'll start getting the Woj bombs and the shams and all that. You know what I mean? I think that's what's going to happen here because we're an hour and a half into free agency and nothing crazy has happened.
This happens every year, doesn't it?
Right?
It seems like it does, that we need one deal, a certain deal to go down, like the biggest free agency splash, and then it's a domino effect.
Exactly.
We know that. So
that's when both of our phones will blow up and it'll be no, but the Suns haven't done anything yet though. That's what's interesting. I don't know, man. But you're right. This seems to happen every year. Suns King says stash power over 9,000. Yeah. I love it.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, man.
You know, John Rigo said he wants Goga.
Yeah.
From
Patate.
He's playing Indiana still, right?
No, I think he's actually with the Magic, I believe.
Oh yeah,
I think he started with the Pacers though. He was like a lottery pick, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Buried over there on the Magic's roster.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he joined them last year. I like Goga.
Yeah, me too. I like him coming out of the draft as well. Yeah. I'll pull up his profile real quick. What I do know about him, and I'll be real with you guys. I haven't watched much like tape and highlights on him, but I do know, kind of like we were talking about with Zach Edey, for example. You can't teach size. Real quick, Goga is 6'11", 250 pounds. Probably has a long wingspan as well. And you're right. He was buried on that Magic bench, unfortunately. Sort of like we saw with Bol, by the way. Just saying, because the Magic had a great year this year. They're definitely on the come up. They're definitely on the rise. And maybe Goga is thinking he needs a change of scenery. And the Suns could use a backup big man, you know?
Yeah, I like it. It's just like Lauri Markkanen when he was with Chicago. Yeah. Pedestrian numbers.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a good player there. He gets traded to Utah, blows up. Yeah. You just need to be in the right situation, the right system. You know what I mean? I mean, we saw it here firsthand. Steve Nash joins the system, 2-time MVP now. So, was he good in Dallas? Yeah. But became an MVP in Phoenix. So it's all about having the right system, the right opportunity, really. So you never know. That's why I'm glad we got Bol.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm pulling up Goga's contract real quick, but my computer's being a little slow, so I'm going to have to do that on my phone. But again, this would be another player who can set hard screens, maybe rim roll a little bit, grab some rebounds, maybe be a presence in the paint and block some shots. Maybe. I mean, last season, 62 games, 5 points, 4.6 rebounds. Not great, but 60% from the field. Needs to improve as a free throw shooter. I mean, 65%, not good. So, but there's talent there. There's potential. Again, maybe just needs a new change of scenery. I don't know. So
I'm seeing on Twitter, this was posted a little like 6 hours ago. It's not breaking news, but it's kind of funny. This is according to Chris Haynes. And he says
everyone's
Klay Thompson,
favorite Chris Haynes.
Yeah, the most accurate guy out there reporting. This might be accurate though. He says Klay feels disrespected. Quote by the Warriors.
Ooh,
he says,
maybe I was
believe,
wrong.
He said, I believe the Warriors are probably offering him an annual low 20 million a year type of contract. Is he willing to walk away from that because he feels disrespected? It looks like he is. It's like, dude, if they're offering you 20 million and you're going to walk away from that, I don't think Klay is a 20 million a year player.
Not
right
anymore.
Now. At all. Not even close. So if another team's willing to pay him more than 20 million, I mean, more power to Klay. Bad decision by the team. Bad decision.
And
so
let's put on our GM shoes for a minute. And again, we're just fans. We're just speculating, but still, let's pretend we are GMs of the Golden State Warriors. Again, you have Curry, you have Draymond, you have some young talent, but you're not like a top 5 team in the West, Even if Curry had like a berserk, like crazy season, doesn't matter. Like he can't do it all himself. Klay Thompson's 99% gone. You are right. Like, and this goes back to Klay too. Klay, I'm sorry to say this, man. I'm not, and look, obviously he's a professional basketball player. I'm just some YouTuber, but like, you're not as good as you once were, man. You're declining. It happens. Father time gets you. Injuries get you. Like, take the money. Stay with the Warriors. Like, I agree with you, man. Like, I don't know.
I think Klay's always wanted to play for the Lakers. He's always wanted to play for LA. His dad played for the Lakers.
Yep.
I think that's his favorite team. Like as a fan, as a kid growing up, he's a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
And I'm sure you saw the report that apparently LeBron's willing to take a pay cut up to $20 million a year pay cut to get guys to join the Lakers. So interesting.
And to make the Lakers better because they're not very good either.
Kind of interesting if you think about it. He's willing to, the report literally said it up to 20 million a year.
Yeah.
And what does Klay want?
More
right
than
around that number.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think Klay would do much for the Lakers. I mean, you're just adding another guy who's old.
I know. Okay, obviously we're not Lakers fans. We're far from it. We'll never be Lakers fans. But I will say this, and you know me, I'm an optimistic basketball fan. It's kind of hard to be optimistic about the Lakers because I know they got LeBron. I know they got AD. But like, how much longer do you really ride that out? I mean, as long as LeBron's there, obviously, they're going to be in the mix. But like, they're not that good. You know what I mean? They're not that good. And sure, let's say they get Klay Thompson. Do they have much of a bench? You only have so much money unless the NBA swings things in their favor. But like, come on. Like,
I agree.
I would not want to be the Lakers. And I know there's the JJ Redick hire recently. I'm not going to lie. I like JJ Redick, but I wouldn't want to be the Lakers coach because that comes with a prestigious history of championships and winning and some of the greatest players we've ever seen.
Not only that, but just look at LeBron's career. How many coaches are fired?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
there hasn't been a consistent coach there since Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
I would not want to be the Lakers coach. If the Lakers walked up to me right now and said, we'll give you $100 million trillion, I would not want to be the Lakers coach, man.
I think the only guy who coached LeBron that wasn't fired was Spoelstra. And LeBron wanted him to get fired.
Yep.
That was well documented.
And now he's one of the
LeBron
greatest.
asked Pat Riley to fire him.
Now he's one of the greatest coaches ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Real quick, Steve, I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a little bit of breaking news here, and I mentioned this player earlier. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has signed a 3-year deal with the Orlando Magic worth $66 million. This is a good 3-and-D wing player. Obviously won a championship with the Nuggets, I believe. And there it is on the screen if you guys are seeing it. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Shams is reporting it. Woj. $66 million. Massive pickup for the rising Magic, acquiring the starting shooting guard of 2 NBA. Oh, yeah, he was with the Lakers. I forgot about that. So he's won 2 championships.
Yeah.
So real quick, Steve, I loved what the Magic did this year. And when Shams in his tweet says they are rising, that is an understatement. I think they made it to like game 7 of either the first or second round. Doesn't matter. They had a great season. They now have a little bit of playoff experience under their wing now. They have a great front office. They have a rising star in Paulo Banchero and lots of other great young talent over there. They have that chemistry too. Those guys like actually seem like they love each other and want to play together. And you're adding a 2-time champion, veteran in this league, 3-and-D wing in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Hell yeah, Magic. Yeah. What do you think, man?
Huge pickup for them.
I
Absolutely. Love it. Because they could use some 3-point shooting, actually.
Yeah, that might have been one of their flaws last year, was they just didn't have enough firepower.
Yeah, that's going to be really big. And I presume he's going to start.
Probably. I would start a 2-time champion on my team.
Yeah.
And their coach too, Jamal Mosley, good coach. He seems like he really cares about his players too. So I love this move for the Magic. That's sort of one of the bigger signings of the day, and that's saying something. Shams also says that 30 years a player option. So that's a good deal. If Kentavious Caldwell-Pope says, yeah, we're building something here, I want to stay that last final year, he can do it. So
that's a big contract.
Yeah. I will say this though, and you probably know this, the Suns have done it sometimes here and there, like in the past. You sometimes have to, quote, overpay for these players. I see the vision is what I'm trying to say. I see the vision.
So he's getting, what was it, 66 million?
Mm-hmm.
Over how many was it? 3 years.
3 years with a player option in that third year.
So
technically 2 years, I guess you could say. It's technically a 2-year deal.
Yeah. So basically 22 million a year.
Yep. Not bad.
How disrespected do you think Klay's feeling right now?
I didn't even think about that.
Right?
That's why you're on this show, Steve.
But this is a
Help me think about that stuff.
This is a comp now for Klay's agent. They're going to use Caldwell-Pope as a comp. Hey, he just got signed by the Magic. Remember, the Magic were in talks with Klay. That was one of the so they got their guy to do what they wanted, right? So Klay's off the table now for Orlando.
Yep.
But yeah, if they're paying him 22, Klay's going to be like, hey, what he always does. What, I got 4 rings.
4 rings.
So he's going to want more than that.
Good God.
So that'll be interesting. Whoever gets Klay, I think it's going to be a major overpay. But I'd honestly rather that happen.
Yeah.
I'd rather him get overpaid.
Yeah.
Please do. It helps everybody else.
Yep.
In a small way.
And again, free agency would really kind of kick off there. Who knows? I think Paul George won't make his decision until like a couple days from now. Maybe tomorrow, though. We'll see. These things move fast, as you know. But again, if you guys have not paid attention to the Orlando Magic, trust me, you guys, they are on the rise. They've drafted well. They have prior to this signing, and even a little bit afterwards, they are one of the teams with salary cap. They still have salary cap money. Probably not as much anymore, but they were one of those top 5 teams that had salary cap space. They have assets. They're young. You said earlier, they were in the second round of the playoffs.
First
I think
round.
it was games or first round. Yeah. First
I
round
just
of the playoffs.
checked.
Yeah. Game 7, dude. I even talked about this earlier, or not really earlier, sort of closer to the playoffs. I was like, the Magic are going to make the playoffs. Any win that team gets in the playoffs is a bonus because they haven't been there in a long time. They haven't been there with this core. Now they have that under their belt. And they just got even better. I'm not saying like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is going to lead them to a championship. No, but like they got better, hands down.
Yeah,
so
they
that's
did.
your update on the Orlando Magic, man.
Yeah, I remember when we played them New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And that was a fun game. But I knew it was going to be a highly contested game.
Yeah.
And I did pick the Magic as well to make the playoffs. I actually picked them to get out of the first round. And I think they would have. But they are a young team.
Yeah.
And they did gain experience from going 7 games with Cleveland.
Yep.
I honestly think they're a better team though.
Right.
They're a better team, less experience. Cleveland, I think, was not as good of a team, but more experienced. And experience over, that's what did it. So
that's why the Phoenix Suns need to go deep into the playoffs with this team so we can have that experience. You know what I mean? Especially our younger guys like Ryan Dunn and all them, who we might talk about in a little bit. But real quick, Steve, you mentioned that Orlando Magic game on New Year's. If I remember that game, the reason I reacted the way I did, because I remember, I don't know if it was New Year's Day or the first time we played them. They, in the fourth quarter, straight up locked us down. And I know our offense, we had that offensive conversation about Frank Vogel, his system. It didn't matter. That team straight up locked us down. I remember at one point in the fourth quarter, I'm like, this game's over. Like the Magic are not letting us do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was New Year's Eve. I was at a party watching the game. And I was the only one watching the game because everyone else is,
because you're a real fan and you watched every game for as long as you can remember.
Yeah. Everyone else is partying and they're walking by and they're like, it ain't looking good, man. I'm like, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. I'm like, I know. And they'd come by and see the bad turnovers. I'm like, I know.
Oh God. Don't remind me. I still think
we're gonna win. But yeah, they're a tough team. And you just bought yourself experience right there though.
Yeah.
By signing a 2-time champ.
Yep.
2 different teams playing the same role on both teams.
Speaking of the turnovers, Steve, maybe, and I think we kind of touched on it a little earlier when we were having our Chris Paul conversation. Before we talk about the Eastern Conference, you and I were talking on the phone earlier about Chris Paul, and you mentioned the turnovers. And I think we might have touched on it a little earlier, but maybe we can expand on it. The turnovers were a mess this year. I think you mentioned we were like, when we had Chris Paul, we were at the bottom 5 of turnovers. Now we don't have Chris Paul. We were a turnover machine this year. Do you want to expand on that conversation a little bit? Like, and I guess I'll kind of segue in here. Do not forget that Mike Budenholzer, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, we need a point guard, but we need to also learn to play without a point guard. So this kind of goes back to the Chris Paul conversation. Like, even if it's not Chris Paul, Monte Morris, Kyle Lowry, Chris Dunn, who we haven't really talked about that much. Do the Suns need a point guard? Is there a specific player you want? Like, what are you thinking, man? Want to talk about the turnovers, if you will? You want to expand on that if you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the team we have now, they're not going to learn how to be elite ball handlers over the summer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to change. They are who they are right now. So we're not going to magically come back in October and we're suddenly going to have great ball handling. Now, what I will say is we're going to have a different offensive system.
Right.
Completely. And I think the offensive scheme we had was an absolute detriment to our roster. it didn't do anything for our team. It didn't play to their strengths at all.
Yeah.
It exposed actually their weaknesses. It's like our offense worked against us, oddly enough. It was such
Which,
it's so Terry Porter reminiscent.
yeah.
Like I'm like, I've seen this show before. I've seen this. I saw this what 16 years ago. I've
Yep.
seen this. This is a rerun. So I think it's gonna change a lot, which means maybe our weaknesses aren't as magnified under Coach Bud.
Yeah.
And so I see what he's saying when he says we need a point guard, but we also
Yeah.
need to learn to play without a point guard because
Exactly.
this last season we played without a point guard.
Hmm.
And he's saying we can play without a point guard, but we need to learn how to play. And that means, I think what he means there is having an offensive system that actually makes sense and works. I think he's saying we can win either way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I really do. So, yeah, obviously, would I love to get CP3? Sure. Would I love to get Kyle Lowry? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Chris Dunn? Sure. What's Chris Dunn, 6'5"?
Yes, I believe so. I was
I
going to
like
talk
that.
about his stats when you're done too. I was going
I
to talk
like
about
that.
stats, and yeah.
Yeah. He 6'5", large wingspan,
Hmm.
and a major defensive presence. You look at the guys we drafted, all defense.
Yep.
You can't, it's hard to teach great defense. It really is because defense comes from inside.
Right.
It's your will. And so many, especially when you get to the NBA level, so many players don't care about defense anymore. It's like defense is more for what? Basketball leagues, rec center, LA Fitness,
The G League.
Lifetime Fitness, G League,
Yep.
college, obviously. Once you get to the NBA, it's like you have a choice if you want to play defense or not. And very few guys play defense. And
Right.
we always know the ones who do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about all the great defenders over the decades that we've been watching basketball, we know who they are. So there's very few and far between. So it'd be nice to get some defenders, someone like a Chris Dunn, to go with the guys that we just drafted. Because these guys we can teach, they know how to dunk it.
Yeah.
You've seen the highlights.
Hmm.
You've seen the highlights of our draft. We got some
Yeah.
good pickups there. We really did.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk more about them. But real quick on Chris Dunn, if you guys do not know, as Ty says right here, Chris Dunn is a great on-ball defender. So real quick, Chris Dunn, unfortunately, didn't really live up to the lottery pick that he once was. He was the 5th pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Career points, only 8 points per game. But something that might get overlooked here, and I know this isn't great, 4.2 assists throughout his career. And he actually played pretty well for the Jazz last season. 43% from the field, 1.4 steals. And I was watching the video that my friend Romp, a lot of you guys know him on this channel, Romp does great NBA content. He made a video about Chris Dunn. Obviously, we're praising the defense. We all know he's a defensive dog and everything. But Chris Dunn's kind of low-key sneaky at like driving to the rim and using that floater game. I can see a lot of that. You know what I mean? Driving to the rim, floating it up in there, kind of a sneaky scorer who might be able to put just a few points on the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I
can
do.
also play make a little bit. I'm not saying he's a great playmaker, but I can see the playmaking vision there. He can play make 4.2 assists throughout his career. I think he put up a few, like three assists or whatever last season. And as people are saying in the chat, we would have 2 Dunns on the team, Chris Dunn and Ryan Dunn. I would love it. 2 defensive dogs. Let's say we bring back Josh Okogie too. That would be huge. 3 great defenders on our team, man.
Yeah.
I would love it. Real quick, do you want to? We can keep talking about the point guard options, but do you want to give us your thoughts on the Suns draft? Were you happy with what we did? What are you thinking, man? By the way,
I'm
we're almost
happy with
2 hours into the show. We're almost 2 hours.
I'm happy with what we did for the reasons stated. Is that I'm glad we got defenders. That's what we need. We need more defense. And I think they can grow still offensively. Obviously, these are young guys. They're going to learn a lot. And you look at the roster of our team, and you look at someone like KD and the way he's taking Bull under his wing. You know, he's always working out with KD. And Bull, his game has improved since coming to the Suns and working out on a regular basis with KD. So that's the thing, is that like he can get better offensively. These guys we picked up can get better offensively. But I saw highlights, you know, obviously the compilations of them, and they look great.
Yeah.
Like they look great. Their defense was ferocious. I loved it. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I've even seen some reports say that the Suns got like the 2 best defenders in the draft. Like low key, they got the 2 best defenders in the draft.
Yep.
That's huge
Oh,
for having
absolutely.
the 28th and 40th pick.
Yeah.
So
and
I'd rather have
we got
that all
draft
day.
picks out of it too. We got future draft picks out of it. People can no longer say the Spurs don't have any draft picks. We have draft picks. I love it. Real quick, man, going back to Chris Dunn. I know our conversation's kind of jumping all over the place. Good stats here. I should have looked them up. But last season, Chris Dunn, 47% from 3, 5.6 assists, 13 points per game. Dude, that's nuts.
That's really good.
Yeah. Now 2023, he shot 47%, 37% from 3, only 3-point assists, but still low key, kind of a sneaky good playmaker, can also contribute a little bit of points. I like that, man. I really like Chris Dunn. But again, Kyle Lowry's out there, you know, played fairly well for the Sixers. I'm friends with a lot of Sixers fans who are content creators. So they keep me updated on Kyle Lowry. Obviously getting older and everything, but could definitely be a playmaker. Sorry, they said there was some wrong stats here, but you get the point. You get the point.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm a fan of Chris Dunn.
Dunn's young.
Yeah, yeah, he's only 32, by the way. So not 32, but he's 30, or I think he's 30. Yeah, I'm getting it all wrong. You get the point.
He's 30.
30. Yeah, still so young, man. What's the hesitation on a campaign reunion? Undersized and limited defense? Question mark. I don't know about campaign. Like, I'm sure you heard he got arrested in Scottsdale, which I don't know what happened there. Clearly he's been to a few D-backs games. I'm sure his heart is still in Phoenix.
I'm sure.
I don't know what's going on with campaign. I don't know. I would, like, again, if I know something, if I hear something, sure, I'll tell you guys, but I don't know, you guys. The Suns haven't done anything. We're literally 2 hours into free agency, just hit the 2-hour mark, and the Suns have done nothing. And they can take their time, I guess, because the market, we're going to see what happens with Paul George, Klay Thompson. Maybe after that, the floodgates open, and we'll see. But the Suns have players that they are being linked to. Monte Morris, Kyle Lowry, Chris Dunn, maybe Chris Paul, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, man.
Is Spencer Dinwiddie, is he available?
Ooh.
I see it in chat.
Let's see. He's with the Nets, right? Spencer Dinwiddie. Yeah, I believe he's with the Nets.
He's with the Lakers, I think.
Or Lakers. Is he?
He was Nets, Lakers now, yeah.
Yeah, it's so confusing, man. There's been so much movement. Spencer Dinwiddie, 10.5 points per game last season, 4.7 assists, 39% from the field. I want to look up his contract, though. I want to see if
he always kills us.
Yeah. Low-key a Suns killer. I agree with you. Let's see. Sorry, just give me a second here. Spencer. My computer's being slow. Spencer Dinwiddie. Also, I was going to say, I wanted to look up Chris Dunn's stats, like for real. But I know he had a good season last year with the Jazz. Okay, let's see. Like I totally forgot Spencer Dinwiddie plays for the Lakers. I don't know why. Like
He's jumped around a lot.
Yeah, exactly. For better or worse, too. I mean, he's been a journeyman throughout his whole career. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing either. Spencer Dinwiddie. Okay, so he's an unrestricted free agent. He's only 31. Just saying, unrestricted free agent. Still a guy that can score. Maybe be a combo-ish guard for you for a team.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if there's any real link there, real connection there, maybe. As you mentioned, Sun's killer. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can't believe there hasn't really been any movement here.
I know. That's why our conversation's jumping around. But I like it. We've gotten to a lot of Suns talk, which a lot of the audience is here for. So I'm kind of glad, but I don't know.
I'm reading right now. This was an hour ago, but we haven't talked about it. This is tweeted by Legion Hoops. Is according to Sean Cunningham. Are you familiar with him?
I've heard that name before. Yeah, I've heard that name.
The Kings are in active trade talks to acquire Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans.
Yeah. Yep.
That would be a good pickup.
Real quick, I think there was a report. I forgot who said it. I think the Kings might be interested in former Phoenix Sun Cam Johnson as well. I think I heard a report about that. But to focus on the topic here, Brandon Ingram, Kings, maybe. I like the vision. They would probably have to trade away a Kevin Huerter, maybe a Harrison Barnes, maybe something else. But you know how we mentioned earlier with the Magic, they needed like a little more firepower. And you did talk about it with the Kings. Like they were injured last year. Malik Monk, I think, recently re-signed with them. So that's more firepower. But you get a guy like Brandon Ingram, that would be huge for that team, man. Obviously, when they're healthy, they're a playoff threat. They're a good team, well coached. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis is one of the most underrated players in the league, one of the best players in the league. You add Brandon Ingram to that mix, Malik Monk. They got some other. They just drafted a guy named Devin Carter. We were talking best defenders in the draft. He's one of them. I like what they're doing over in Sacramento. So, man, you get a guy like Brandon Ingram, that'd be huge.
Yeah, it would be. Again, the West, always getting better.
Real quick, just to kind of put the bow on Chris Dunn, because this was bugging me for some reason. Here are his official stats from Basketball Reference. Last season, 66 games, 5 points, 3.8 assists. Like I mentioned, I knew it was around the three assist mark. 47%, 37% from three. Because earlier there were some stats that weren't accurate. But I appreciate the commenter that put that in there. So just saying, that kind of bothered me. I had to go look those up for myself. But either way, you're getting a scrappy, good defender, only 30 years old, can score, play make a little bit. I like Chris Dunn, is what I'm trying to say here. So, real quick, Steve, what else is there? Do you want to... I actually wanted to show you this. This comes from Bobby Marks. Now, again, I am not a salary cap expert. I don't know that much about the CBA, but Bobby Marks always tweets this stuff about like every team. Here's our offseason outlook, and I'll lower this little banner so you can see it fully. I can even fix the screen if you need it to. But that's our offseason outlook. Committed salary, $209 million. We are obviously way over all that stuff, you know, the second apron. We have a $116 million tax penalty. Eric Gordon's probably gone. Josh Okogie up in the air. Drew Eubanks probably gone. Bol re-signed. Royce O'Neal re-signed. What happens with Nazir Little and David Roddy? I don't know. We just drafted Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro. Jalen Bridges got signed to a 2-way deal, and then we got our core 5. So that is what is the Phoenix Suns are looking at here. By the way, just so for anybody who cares, you can have up to 3 2-way spots now. But that's only like a little bit of salary on your team. So, yeah. Just wanted to share that with you.
Well, I love the comment.
Me too. The picture is the picture you're referencing.
Yeah.
I love it. You can
classic.
take your second apron and shove it. I love it, dude. Hell yeah, Matt Ishbia. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's good stuff. You know, the thing is, everyone talks about the Suns and the salary cap stuff and how much they're paying. I always say, I'm sure you say the same thing. It ain't coming out of my wallet or yours.
Preach.
So I don't care how far over we are. And it's nice to be able to say that.
Yep.
Because we couldn't have said that with Sarver. With Sarver, we would have been like, well, we can't get anybody then because we know he's not going to pay.
Yep.
So
and
that's one thing that's very nice.
Whether you're a new Suns fan or an old Suns fan, especially the old Suns fans know, we would be having a completely different conversation if Robert Sarver was still our owner. When the guy sold our G League team, he sold it. And now Matt Ishbia is like, okay, cool. I'll add that to the list. I'll get you guys a G League team. Don't worry about it. I got you guys. And him and Josh Bartelstein, and they did it. The Valley Suns. Can't wait, by the way. Could maybe see some of our rookies and 2-way guys down there playing. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for them to release the jerseys too.
Same. I've been waiting to see when that's coming out. But I was planning on definitely going to go check them out. They're going to be playing in Tempe.
Yep.
So I'll drive out there and go watch a game for sure.
If I happen to be in Phoenix or whatever around that time, I'll definitely have to go to a game myself. Go check it out.
You got to. I'm excited to have it. I'll probably see if I can maybe go to the opener and see what it's like. Should be a good time.
That'd be awesome, man. Please do. I'll be there in spirit, man.
Yeah. I know.
Steve, while we're waiting, man, is there anything you want to talk about? Did you want to focus on the Eastern Conference? Do you want to we can literally talk about whatever, man. There's nothing happening. You know what I mean? Because everyone's waiting for Klay and for Paul George. So we can open up the floor. I'm trying to keep my eye on the chat. By the way, chat, if you got any questions, comments, anything, let us know. This is kind of just a free time right now. We can do whatever because nothing's happening. So, yeah. Sorry to kind of put you on the spot there, but
no, you're good. I think
I kind of anticipated this was going to happen.
Yeah, we did. Let's look east. If you want to pull up the Eastern, and let's just briefly do what we did before and just kind of look at it.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Which team's going to rise? Which teams we know suck?
Yep. All right.
It's not going to be as loaded as the West.
True. It should be on the screen.
Yeah,
there
it's
it
up
is.
Now.
Cool. Let me lower this banner. So, yeah, obviously, Boston Celtics, defending champions. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They're very, very good. You want to talk about the Knicks for a minute?
Jeez.
I mean,
it's just wild because they signed McHale. Yeah. Or they get McHale.
They traded for him, yeah.
And then I think the next day, OG Anunoby signs a huge, massive deal with the Knicks. Because when they sign McHale, you're thinking, okay, is OG going to be gone then? But no, they pay him a massive contract, and they have him now too. And I'm just looking at this. I'm like, God, you know, this is reminiscent of 90s Knicks.
Yeah.
With what they're doing over there. Because obviously McHale and OG are defensive studs. And I was telling my girlfriend about it too. she remembers. She doesn't follow the NBA like we do. She doesn't follow it at all, really. But she knows McHale. She likes
Mhm,
McHale and Cam, who didn't.
mhm.
But I was telling her, I was like, McHale got traded to the Knicks. And I was just saying, I really hope their fans, the New Yorkers out there, treat McHale good. He's good people. And I hope he's treated well over there.
Yeah,
But I was like, damn. I was just telling her, I said, the Knicks made it really far. And they were such a next man up mentality team throughout the whole playoffs. I mean, you didn't have Randall
yeah.
the whole playoffs.
I think Mitchell Robinson was injured too, and yep,
Yeah, Josh Harden that last game, he had a some sort of bad abdomen injury, and anyone who
yeah,
plays ball knows if you have a bad abdomen injury and when you go to shoot, that kills, man. Like it's very hard to hold your form if you have an abdomen injury or anything with your ribs. Like I've cracked my ribs a couple times, and that's very painful to try and play ball. Let
jeez,
alone even sneeze.
yeah.
Sneezing with cracked ribs is the worst.
Going to the bathroom too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
laughing.
god,
Like
jeez.
you can't be around anyone who tells a joke, man. It's gonna be painful.
I'm somebody
Uh,
who laughs a lot, so I'm praying I don't hurt my ribs.
yeah. So they're gonna be so damn good. Like if they're healthy, if that team is healthy, what happens against
Right.
Boston?
Yep.
I think it's really fair to say that if the Knicks and Celtics go head to head in these finals, it's anybody's game
Preach.
with both those teams, with those rosters, if they're healthy.
That would
They
be
could totally
such a fun series to watch. I
actually
hope
would
no,
for
no, I take
once.
that back. I don't hope. I know that they're gonna have an either opening day game or an opening week game, and I'm gonna be watching that. I cannot wait to see
You
this
see,
Knicks team in action.
David says he's in New York, and the energy for
Oh,
the Knicks is rocking.
that's awesome. It should be.
It should be.
And it's true, man. Like when the Knicks are good, the league is just in a
Yeah,
better place too. Um, and just seeing like, the Knicks they always had like these high kind of expectations every year for a long time. And sometimes they made the playoffs, sometimes they didn't. But it now seems like they have a solid core who straight up love each other. They all played at college, Villanova. I think
yeah,
that's correct, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So
It
these
is.
guys know each other. They have the chemistry. And I mentioned this earlier on the show, and I really believe it. A lot of their bench could probably start for some NBA teams. Just saying. They have future draft assets. I know they traded a lot of it for Mikal Bridges, but I think they got some of it back in certain trades that they made. One of those trades, I think, was with the Suns, by the way. So, they are clearly going all in. And you mentioned it, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, dude, in their starting five. There's even rumors they might get Isaiah Hartenstein back, who played very, very well for them last year.
You did.
He's a big part of their offense and their defense. If they can somehow get him back, that is huge. They're going to be a easy top 5 team in the East, maybe even in the league if they can stay healthy. That team is going to be scary, man. That team's going to be tough to beat. Teams better be ready because the Knicks are going to lock teams up. The
So,
Bucks, I don't know about the Bucks.
well, the Bucks are still going to be. They're still going to be there because Giannis was hurt, right,
Yeah,
in the
and
playoffs.
Damian Lillard, I think. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of
and,
why they
and
flamed out. Yeah,
right. So give that team another year to figure it out. I still think the Bucks are making the playoffs. There's no doubt
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like the top 6 teams are still making the playoffs, right? I think
Yep.
we could probably agree with that.
Cavs, Magic. Yep,
Philly stays healthy.
yep.
If Embiid stays healthy, because Embiid's always injured. He's got to stop falling all over the courts. He's got to stop flopping and flailing. start playing real big man basketball, start using your body like you're a true giant out there, because you are.
Preach.
You got the height and you got the weight. Stop falling all over the place, and you won't get injured so often. Miami, I mean, you always have to respect the Heat organization.
Yep. Seems like they're always in it, even when they're not. Kind of like this season. Like, I knew they weren't going to do anything this year. I just knew it. They're one of those teams that needs to remember you got to play good in the regular season. You just have to. Plus, there's question marks around Jimmy Butler. I know they just got Bam Adebayo back, but who knows what happens with Jimmy. So,
yeah, it is true.
You know,
so we'll see what happens there. We'll monitor it. Chicago.
Oh God, don't get me started on Chicago. They are.
I know.
They're on the verge of a very long overdue rebuild or a very, very strong retool. I talked about this with my friend Super Mario Hoops, who's a Bulls fan. Don't be surprised if they straight up blow it up. Just don't be. It's probably going to happen.
You know, I won't be surprised. You and I have talked about this too, and
it's so long overdue.
Zach LaVine obviously is. It's no secret that he's being shopped big time. He's in all the rumors. Like, if I go to Hoops Hype, it's all over on Hoops Hype. And so if you bring Zach back after you've shopped the heck out of him, that ain't going to be good. So the fact that he's being so heavily shopped and nobody's biting, that's probably concerning. DeRozan ain't getting any younger, but he's still playing good because his game's not super. It's not super athletic. He's a mid-range assassin, so he can maintain this game. I think he's going to continue to produce. But then you look at, they got Giddey.
Yep.
So that was an interesting pickup because, again, I don't know what Chicago's doing.
Yeah,
I really don't. Lonzo, who knows? You can't even count him, really.
Even if that
he hasn't
team
played
is
forever.
Yeah. Let's say they keep, or let's say Lonzo comes back healthy. Let's say they trade LaVine. Let's say DeMar stays. Like that team's not doing much. Like I really, and I know this isn't NBA 2K. I know it's not. By the way, there's a question for you about 2K. We'll get to that later. But
okay.
They legit just need to either do a very strong retool, embrace the youth movement with Josh Giddey, their draft pick. I think his name's Matas Bazelis or something like that. Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White. They just need to embrace the youth. Who knows what's going to happen with DeMar DeRozan? Zach LaVine's probably going to get traded. They just need to. It's long overdue, man. They're not doing anything. They haven't done anything in a long time. And again, I had this conversation with Super Mario. Like, if this team's healthy, even reasonably healthy, maybe we're having a different conversation about the Bulls. But they're not. And they're not very good when they are healthy. So
listen to
blow
this.
Blow it up, Bulls. Blow it
up. Another Chris Haynes report.
Okay.
Apparently, the Bulls offered Zach LaVine to the Warriors for a trade package centered around Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins for Chris Haynes, and the Warriors declined it and then waived CP3. That's how much nobody wants LaVine.
It's bad, dude.
It's pretty bad because Wiggins had a down year.
Yeah.
He had a considerably down year. And, you know, CP3 is just at this point, it would be a throw-in. And they declined that. The Warriors declined it. That's interesting.
Right.
So the Warriors knew they were waiving Chris Paul. So you're basically Wiggins for LaVine. And you said no.
It sucks too, because Zach LaVine actually, when he's healthy, is a really, really good player, man. I think social media might make him look worse. Like, the dude is a scorer, very athletic, good player in this league.
But, you see Mike V?
Let's see. The Chris Haynes thing?
Yeah. Mike, by the way, I want you to know that we agree with you.
Yeah, we do.
We were talking about Chris Haynes earlier on the phone today.
Yep.
Total joke.
We just don't know like how he got as big as he did in terms of like his status as a insider and a reporter. And yeah,
I was
we're
telling
with you.
Brandon, I
We're
said,
with you.
Brandon, in the 90s, we had Ahmad Rashad. Like, we
Preach.
had it good. NBA inside stuff. He was our courtside reporter. And then Chris Haynes comes out of nowhere. He's wrong all the time. Like, when I tell you anything Chris Haynes is tweeting, just know that we're talking about it with a huge grain of salt. We're
Preach.
like, it's almost comedic to hear what he has to say. You just never know with that dude.
What was I gonna say? I saw some stuff on Twitter, and I'll just share it with you because I retweeted it.
Yeah.
Pretty much how slow the NBA is right now. Real quick, NBA Paint. I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me share this real quick. This is from NBA Paint, who's a great account on Twitter. Come on, do something. Woj Shams.
Yeah.
Josh Hart from the Knicks, who we were just talking about, tweeted 6 p.m. was anticlimactic. I love that. Andre Drummond tweeted that he's in the mood for Philly cheesesteaks. Like, you know what I mean? That's how slow this news is, man. Like, oh boy.
I wondered though if it would be slow.
Yeah.
Because it's a Sunday. And it's never like I think I heard this on Arizona Sports earlier this week that the first day of free agency is never fell on a Sunday.
Right.
It is kind of a weird day. Right?
It is.
Business starts on Monday. It's just weird like that you wouldn't change it to during the week.
Right.
I think we'll get a lot of news tomorrow, most likely.
Absolutely.
Especially
maybe
with
we'll have
PG.
to do this tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see.
Well, especially with PG meeting tonight, right? That was the report.
Yeah,
He was
so.
meeting with teams
or
tonight.
Monday. Yeah, tonight. I think I said. I think I saw tonight and Monday. I believe.
Yeah.
And even that's gonna take a while. I don't think it's gonna be. He's gonna have one meeting and then sign, unless he's like blown away. But I don't know. What we could do, Steve, is I do have some questions and comments highlighted.
Yeah.
In the thing, so we
I
could
see
get to
him
that.
coming in. Let's do it.
Yeah, they're starting to fly in too. So quick question on Chris Paul. I saw this going around Twitter. Now, if we do bring back Chris Paul, who wears number 3? Bradley Beal or Chris Paul? That's NBA free agency for you today. There's no news, so we're talking about Chris Paul and jersey numbers. Does Bradley Beal like sacrifice it? Say, all right, I'll go to a new number for you, Chris Paul. Maybe.
I think. Let me just say, if I were in Brad Beal's shoes, I would give it to Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
I would respect my elders. He is the elder statesman. So yeah, I would say yeah. It was yours before it was mine. So I'll give it to you.
Preach. This isn't really a question, but a comment. Luke Kennard for the Suns would be nice. I think I saw Jake Fisher said that they want to bring him back. We'll see, but I do agree. You know, good 3-point shooter, veteran in this league, good size. I wouldn't mind Luke Kennard. But real quick,
I would not mind him at all.
Let's see. Here's a good question here from Wordsmith. Coming into the 2024-25 season, do the Suns play around with starting Bull next to Durant and Nurk and have Grayson come off the bench? So from what I'm gathering is, do we start Bull at times and have Grayson come off the bench? Damn, that's a really good question, man.
I like the idea of it.
Yeah, I see the vision. I like the idea. And coaches, sometimes for better or worse, experiment. I could see this, but you would have to do this early. You couldn't do this like past the trade deadline. You couldn't do that. You got to know who your guys are going into the playoffs. I can see it happening early. I have mixed feelings about Grayson coming off the bench, but what do you think?
Well, I think it would help our bench unit, obviously, having Grayson out there. It would help extend the defense. I like the idea of Bull and KD playing together because of their height and length. I think that would be fun because either Bull or KD are going to be playing small forward,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to have a major advantage. So I like that idea. There ain't any
Yeah.
small forwards out there that are 7 feet tall. They're playing small
Preach.
forward.
Yep.
Closest thing is Franz over there in Orlando, right?
Yeah,
Franz
I
plays
believe
small
so.
forward.
Yep.
That's the
Long,
closest thing.
athletic. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he would have a automatic height advantage, massive height advantage. Him or KD would. So I like that idea. And I think if Grayson came off the bench, like as far as how Grayson would handle it, I think he'd handle it fine.
Yeah.
I do. So again, like you said, Brandon, I think that's something we could try out and in the beginning, see how it goes. It's an
Yeah.
option.
Yep. Good question. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about Grayson coming off the bench, but maybe that's just because he had an excellent season starting. Obviously, he's here, which I am super happy about. I'm glad he resigned. He really does want to be in Phoenix. And I think you and I have had this conversation, Steve. I've had this conversation with lots of other Suns podcasters and Suns people. Grayson Allen's leadership and maturity this season was amazing, especially with those reports that it was like a toxic locker room and the Frank Vogel disconnect and all that. Grayson Allen was so professional. He even said multiple
Was
times, like Royce O'Neal, I want to be in Phoenix. Do not trade me. I love Grayson Allen. I think he would welcome it. They need him to come off the bench. Sure, as long as we're winning.
yeah,
As
I
long
think
as
he'll
we're
do
winning,
whatever,
man. Yep.
whatever's asked of him. He just wants to win.
Preach.
So
Preach.
he was exceeded expectations.
So real quick, unless you have anything, this is a question for you.
Yeah.
From Wordsmith here. Question for ThunderStash. I checked out your gaming channel, which by the way, link down below in the description. Do you play much 2K? Favorite video game of all time and favorite video game of 2023-24. Welcome to the Suns Geek Free Agency show where nothing's happening. We're talking about Steve's awesome gaming channel.
Okay, so when it comes to 2K, I started playing 2K when it came out the first year on Dreamcast. I bought a Dreamcast when it came out on September 9th, 1999. I'll always remember that release date because it was 99.99. And I grew up playing NBA Live before that. Played NBA Live for years when it first one came out, NBA Live 95.
Real quick, Steve. It seems like Paul George is definitely going to leave the Clippers. That's being
Good.
reported by Woj, Shams. So sorry to
Good.
interrupt. I just thought I would tell you that real quick.
Yeah, I'm
That
glad.
really broke as the question was asked. So, but keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so as far as 2K, I was playing my team for many years, but 2K's changed a lot. They are a very greedy company now. Without
Yeah.
going into it too much, I'm obviously I enjoyed my team on NBA 2K, but now it's buy team as we call it. You got to buy your
Mm-hmm.
team,
Ugh.
and I don't like what they're doing over there at 2K Sports and Visual Concepts. Not into it. And it's unfortunate because that is the only option. And it's like EA, man, this is your time. From what I've gathered, they still hold an NBA license and they don't do
Yep.
anything with it. Now's your time to bring back NBA Live because there's a lot of people that do not like what 2K is doing. They don't like their business practice. I wouldn't be surprised if 2K like gets rid of my team and just does my team mobile because they did that this year. You can play
Mm.
my team on your phone now.
Okay.
And it's not that bad actually. As far as gameplay is concerned, if you use like a controller. I tried it with the touch screen. It wasn't horrible, but
Right.
yeah, not a fan of what they're doing recently. And the fact that they got rid of the auction house was horrible. It ended up being an absolute terrible experiment. And the gamers suffered because of it. So I don't know if I'll pre-order or if I'll even buy. I uninstalled the game in January. That's how pissed
Yep.
I was.
You told me that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
told
I
me
had
that.
like over 2 million MT that I had earned in the game. But you can't do
Yep.
anything with it because they only allow you to buy cards with a virtual currency, so real
Mhm.
money. Like, I don't even want to get into their business practices. Favorite game of all time? That's a tough one because
Yeah.
I haven't even unveiled like what my favorite game is on my channel because I don't really. It would be very hard. I will tell you, yeah, I grew up on Nintendo. I play all the Nintendo. I play PlayStation. I have an Xbox. I have all the consoles. But Zelda will always be, what probably one of my favorite of all times. The original Zelda, A Link to the Past on Super, Ocarina of Time on 64, Breath of the Wild, obviously all those. Love the Mario games. Really all the Nintendo stuff.
I was just
Sony,
gonna say that's hard for you to answer because you've been playing video games for as
yeah,
long as you can remember, and look how many epic video games are behind you. And I
yeah,
know your history with gaming. Like, holy cow, dude!
yeah. I
That's a
grew up
tough
on
question
regular
to answer.
Nintendo. I was
Exactly.
born in '85, so I grew up. I have two older brothers, so I was playing Nintendo when I was like 3 years old with my brothers, and
Hmm.
have never stopped. So I have all the consoles. Like I would say my game of the year right now would be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I put in over 200 hours on that game. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. I have very fond memories of Final Fantasy VII on PS1. So when the
Hmm.
remake got announced, it was going to be 3 games. It was very exciting. And I thought Rebirth exceeded expectations. And then I've been playing the Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. That's been fun. Yeah, man, I play everything. Everything. That's why I review new games. I review retro games. I've been revisiting a lot of games. Right before this, I was playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out, except I was playing it on Super Nintendo. There's a I don't want to say a hacker out there. He's more than a hacker, but there's a guy out there that ported Mike Tyson's Punch Out on regular Nintendo to Super
Mm.
Nintendo. So I was playing it on my Super, and
Right.
it was really cool. I'll have a video coming up about that soon.
Sweet. That's awesome,
Yes.
man. I appreciate you answering that question. I know that must have been difficult for you because like you said, you haven't even revealed like your top 10. I believe you said that.
Yeah.
So
It's like I love all my children, or like as a manager being in management for 20 years, I love all my employees. I love them all equally. I work for all of them equally. In the
right.
same vein with video games, man, so many of them I very much love equally.
Real quick, Steve, not like anything league shattering, not even huge Suns news, but we actually have a little Suns news here. I saw somebody retweet this, and this was the same guy that I believe reported our two-way signings that took place after the draft.
Mhm.
I don't really know much about this player, but Michigan State's Tyson Walker has agreed to
Yeah.
join the Phoenix Suns for NBA Summer League, he's being told.
Yep.
18 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.9 steals, en route to a second team all big honors. Dynamic 6 foot initiator with a shifty handle, deadly pull up game, tactician, and punishing drop coverages. That goes along with Jalen Bridges, who's on a two-way deal, Tyree Samuel, Boo Bowie, I think that's how you pronounce that name. These are guys that are, again, I mentioned it earlier, 3 two-way spots. You can obviously have a lot of training camp deals. There's only 15 roster spots, but the Suns seem like they're really bringing in guys. But this is a summer league signing. In fact, this might be our first summer league sign. I don't think they've actually announced the summer league roster yet, so that's kind of cool. Just
Yeah.
thought I'd mention that little bit of Suns news there.
It is a nice pickup.
Yeah. So can't wait to watch those summer Suns, man. Ryan Dunn, Oso Ighodaro, Jalen Bridges, now Tyson Walker. I love that, man. Looks like we're gonna have a fun little team there.
When is Summer League starting? Isn't it?
For the Suns, I believe it's July 13th, but I think Summer League starts July 11th.
And then when's USA basketball starting?
Ooh,
Yeah. So
late
we got some hoops coming
July,
up.
late July-ish to like August, I want to say. Probably like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer. Can't wait for the Olympics, by the way, just in general. Just fun to watch the Olympics. You know?
Yeah, no, it is. It
And I'm
is
not
for
trying to
sure.
talk politics here, but the Olympics is when I'm like, Team USA, you know what I mean? That's when I get, you know, the
Oh,
American in me comes out.
I just pulled it up. It says FIBA Men's U17 World Cup against China is scheduled for July 2nd at 2:30 a.m.
Gotcha.
Mountain Standard Time. And then the basketball showcase against Canada is July 10th
Oh,
at 7:30.
Canada's loaded this year, by the way, in terms of their roster.
Yeah, so it's starting up soon here.
Yep.
So that'll be nice.
Can't wait for Summer League. Can't wait for Team USA. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. And just like I said, the Olympics in general. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's one thing I always like about Olympic years is that it makes the summer more manageable as a basketball fan. Because obviously summer's tough for the basketball fans. You know,
Yeah.
once the finals are over, it's like, oh man, it's a long wait.
Yep.
And obviously we got football that comes up pretty soon here. We got baseball.
Yeah.
But ain't nothing like basketball. And so it's nice to have this USA basketball because it does make things go by a lot quicker.
Yep. Steve, I'm kind of scared to end the show, but like there's nothing going on, you know, like I love talking Suns basketball. I love talking with you. I feel like we've touched on like everything, you know, like everything that at least there is. So. And we've gotten questions from the chat and like, and there's a couple questions we could talk about here, but like, I feel like if I end the show though, that's when the news will kick in. But I honestly don't think anything's going to happen until Paul George and Klay Thompson do their thing. That's what I think is going to happen.
I do too, and I don't think it's going to be
today
because, well, I don't know why. I can't give because, but I think part of it's being a Sunday.
Yep.
Just something about business on Sundays.
Yep. So again, like we don't have to end the show, but if you want to, that's okay because there's nothing that's really going on. Is there anything you would want to talk about before we wrap up this show? Anything on, it can be anything, man. Anything on your mind? You got anything going on in your gaming channel that you want people to know about? I don't know, man. Like Bees says right here, just go live when something happens, Brandon. Exactly. Like I'll do my best. If something crazy happens tomorrow, yeah, I'll be live. But I thought this was going to be the show, you know, but I'll probably be live. You guys know me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So again, man, anything you want to end the show on?
I got the next video coming up. Again, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but for the Super Nintendo. Gotcha. So very interesting. It was ported over there. That should be fun. That's the next thing I got coming up. I got tons of content planned though for retro game reviews and current games.
Gotcha.
So that's about it. You know, it's summertime.
Yep.
So as we all know out here in AZ, spend as much time as you can inside. If you got to go outside, it's to run a few errands or go hit a pool because it's hot. Yeah. A lot of gaming coming up. But I'm at least glad, though, that we got some USA basketball stuff in a couple of days, July 2nd. So
can't wait.
Good on that.
D-Book, KD will be there. It's going to be like an all-star game, almost every game. Don't sleep on Team Canada either. They are loaded, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is Shy playing over there?
Yep. He's on that roster.
You think the
They
FIBA
are.
refs will send them to the free throw line as much as the NBA refs?
I know, that's actually a good question. I don't think so
I
because
don't think so either.
they overseas basketball, they play physical. I think there's going to be a lot of. I think the refs are not going to call it. Hopefully, that's the case too.
I
We'll
hope
see.
so. I hope
Yep.
so. I
And
kind
as
of like
Mike
that
B,
brand better.
and as Mike B says, no injuries. Yes, no injuries to any of our NBA players, especially Katie and Book. Please, God, no injuries. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Steve, again, I hate to end the show because I feel like something might happen if we do, but I think we've run the course with this over 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think
This
so.
was a blast, man. This was fun. I couldn't have done this without you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your opinions. Thank you for your stories. I know you did it. Oh, wait a minute. See, right when I was going to end the show,
What happened?
Eric Gordon has agreed to a deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. I knew something was going to happen. I knew it.
Wow.
So that's okay. So that's where Eric Gordon is. Let me just pull that up before we end the show. We don't have to spend too much time on it, but I knew something was going to happen, dude.
Yeah.
I kind of like that for the Sixers, though. We can spend a couple minutes talking about it if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I like it for the Sixers because, like I said, they got all the salary cap right now. Let's be real, they're probably going to get Paul George, probably. So this adds a veteran player, as we all know, a player that when he is streaky and consistent really helps your team win, can start for you at times. He'll be a good veteran for Tyrese Maxey. I really like Eric Gordon to the Sixers. Not sure if you have any thoughts on this.
I think he'll like playing over there.
Yeah. I'm texting my friend Romp right now because he's a big Sixers fan.
I think that's a good pickup. I'm glad he's going to the East, so we only have to see him twice.
Yep.
Because you know what happens whenever. Obviously, we didn't trade him. He was a free agent, chose to sign with them. But I feel like guys who used to play for us, when they end up playing against us, they kill us.
Yep.
And Eric Gordon kind of killed us prior to signing with us. He always played well against us. So I'm just glad he's going to the East. Rather him go there.
Former Rocket and their GM, Daryl Morey, who's running the show over there. Yep. And again, like I mentioned earlier, they have the roster spots open first off, but they have the salary cap. And I low-key like that move. They picked up a guy in the draft named Jared McCain from Duke who also can score. And like I said, okay, more breaking news. I'm so glad I didn't end the show. The Clippers have announced that Paul George has decided to sign with the team. The Philadelphia 76ers are expected to be the leading suitors. Shams and Chris Haynes are reporting that. Oh, wow. And Chris Paul to the San Antonio Spurs. What? That's Chris Haynes. What is going on? Thank God I didn't end the show.
What? That's crazy.
Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to... Dude, thank God I did not end the show, dude. Okay, give me a second here so we can pull this up so you guys don't think I'm crazy. This is actually happening. We'll get to Paul George in a minute. But if Chris Haynes reporting is true, it's on the screen right now. Chris Paul intends to sign with the San Antonio Spurs.
Shit, man.
Him and Wemby. And I believe they got a guy named Steven Castle in the draft who was really well scouted, and there's a lot of draft experts that are a big fan of him. They also have Devin Vassell, great 3-and-D wing player who I think they highly value over there. Chris Paul. So that means no Chris Paul to the Suns, unfortunately. But man, Wemby's going to learn from him. I'm sure he's going to love playing with Wemby.
Well, at least we can rule that out now.
Although, mind you, it is Chris Haynes, says Wordsmith. But I don't. True. In all fairness to Chris Haynes, I don't think he would make an announcement like this if it weren't true, you know. I'll
You'd hope,
kind of
you'd hope
give,
to God not.
yeah, I'll kind of give Chris Haynes the benefit of the doubt there, but it is true. Shams hasn't reported it. Woj has been quiet. Like, Woj, are you okay, man? Like, is everything okay, Woj? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh, and Chris Paul and Greg Popovich. I mean,
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
that's wow. That's your breaking news, everybody. That kind of saved the show here. Looks like we're going 3 hours. We have a decent amount to talk about for at least 15 minutes. Any thoughts on Chris Paul potentially with the Spurs? I mean,
It was one of the rumored places,
yep, I believe that's accurate.
and again, we looked at the standings for the West. We talked about what teams are going to improve, and we were just saying that the Spurs we know are going to improve. They're going to get more wins. Well, that's for sure.
Yep, you were right. You called it.
Again, as always with Chris, as long as he stays healthy, which he seems to stay actually pretty healthy in the regular season. So let's be fair there. And adding Chris to this roster with him and Wemby, man.
Stephen Castle, Devin Vassell, young core. Yep.
Yeah, this is that's a big pickup. Even
Yep.
even as old as Chris is, we're the same age. Our birthdays are hours apart. We're both 39 years old. So we ain't getting any younger.
And speaking of that, Greg Popovich, one of, if not the greatest coach ever, obviously getting up there in age. Maybe he can be like, Chris Paul, can you just kind of coach these guys, please? You know what I mean? Because we all know Chris Paul knows how to do it. So, and I know Greg Popovich has his assistants to do that, but he can be like, Chris Paul, teach these young kids some things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Pop's able to figure out how to extend CP's career.
Oh, God. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Man. Maybe fast forward to next offseason. Let's say the Spurs win a few more games like we talked about. Wemby keeps having a great season like he did. All of a sudden, he's like, hey, Chris Paul, you want to come back again? Let's run this back. Let's do it again. And Spurs are only going to get better. They have tons of assets, tons of youth to build around Wemby. I mean, I heard a stat, and I have to double check this for sure. Wemby only played, I think, 27 minutes per game last year. 27 minutes. And he was the rookie of the year. One of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now he's going to be playing with Chris Paul.
He didn't play a ton, and we saw like what he's capable of. It was some crazy stuff. And it's going to be scary with CP setting the table. Who was running point guard for him?
You know what's funny? I think they had, and it failed. They had Jeremy Shohan running it for them.
I remember they tried to have him do it a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think they had much actual point guard play. I don't remember if Trey Jones is still there. I forget. But
yeah, I couldn't recall if he was or not. That's who I was thinking. Let's see, Spurs roster. Let's see. Yeah, he's still over there.
Just wanted to share a graphic from Legion Hoops that Jordan sent me. Appreciate you sending that, Jordan. Legion Hoops, quick with it. There's a little Photoshop. Chris Paul, Wemby.
Nice.
There it is. And again, I know we were picking on Chris Haynes a little bit, but I doubt he would make a report like this if it wasn't true, you know. And maybe he's closer with Chris Paul than we know. So, just saying. Yeah, we saw the Eric Gordon stuff, you guys. Just let the chat know. We did see Eric Gordon, the Sixers. Yeah. But yeah, Paul George. It's crazy that news broke back to back. Paul George leaving the Clippers for real. That's been reported.
Again, I'm glad that he's going to most likely an Eastern Conference team.
Yep.
Like, this is good news in that aspect that I would rather all of us in the chat, I'm sure we want to see those types of players go to the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
Please get out of here. Get out of the West. The West is always super stacked. So,
especially since Paul George has some random beef with Devin Booker as well. It's random, but those two guys do not like each other for some reason. But so yeah, it's looking like Tyrese Maxey. I'm not saying this is their starting lineup, but I'm just saying these are the players we know of the Sixers: Tyrese Maxey, Eric Gordon, Joel Embiid, maybe Paul Reed, Ricky Council, who he actually played pretty well for the Sixers, and Jared McCain, who they drafted, Adam Bana, and I'm sure they got tons of salary cap space. Maybe Kelly Oubre returns for them. Maybe. We'll see. But again, free agency. We're all waiting for Paul George and Klay Thompson. So is it safe to end the show now? You know what I mean? Not that I want to get out of here, but you've seen what's happened. And I feel bad because we got 488 people watching, dude.
Wow.
But I know, right? It's crazy, right? Now it just went up to 494. I want to keep going, but I don't want the show to be stagnant. So I don't know. Unless you
this
got
is
something.
Wild though what Philly's doing.
I know.
Because you remember Philly was, until Embiid went down, which again, that's a common theme with Embiid, until he went down, right?
Yep.
How many times have we said that? They were doing great until Embiid got hurt. However, pairing up Paul George.
Yep.
Dude.
Probably.
If he goes over there, that's big.
It's a good team.
That God, think about that. That's a three-headed Eastern Conference snake. Boston, New York, and Philly.
And they have enough salary to kind of do what the Suns need to do and kind of trim the edges a bit, They have enough salary cap. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a really good team.
Wow.
If they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, though. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. As always, but that's three legitimate, really good teams in the East.
And Nick Nurse is a great coach, by the way. They have Nick Nurse coaching them. Great coach and Nick Nurse. So I like that. Real quick, just a follow-up on the Chris Paul stuff. Again, this comes from Chris Haynes, but it seems pretty legit now. Quote, Chris Paul had great talks with Spurs coach Greg Popovich and was sold on the culture and opportunity to help elevate the game of Victor Wembanyama. CP is eager and motivated to showcase he still is an elite guard in the league. That's all coming from Chris Haynes. Sucks that he's not going to be with the Suns, but I'm kind of curious to see what he does with Wemby and the Spurs young core. So that's what it's looking like. Just thought I would share that too.
Wow.
And Mike B says Spurs only had about 26 million to spend, right? CP must have gotten the MLE mid-level exception. Yeah, I believe that's correct. I don't think they were in the top 5. I don't believe in salary cap, but sure they were in the top 10. So they probably have the money. I don't think the details of the signing have come out yet. I'm sure we'll find that out soon. Yeah. So
still waiting on figuring out where Klay is going to go.
Yep.
And outside of that, what are the other big players we're waiting on? If we rule out Paul George, if we say, it sounds like he is going to Philly, then it's Klay. Klay's a big name, but again, we've seen him play recently. He's not the Klay he used to be.
I'm just trying to pull up that. Okay, free agents. Here we go. These are just, now I don't think this is in any specific order. I'm going to pull up the Hoops Hype article. These are just the free agents that I believe are available if they didn't already get signed. Let me see. Tyrese Maxey, we already know he's going to stay. That's no secret. Paul George, we already know what's happening with that. Again, this is in no order. This is just the Hoops Hype thing. Sorry, my computer's being laggy. Give me a second here. What's going on here? Oh, DeMar DeRozan, I forgot. I think he's a free agent. Apparently, to this list, he is. Sorry, my computer's being super slow. Give me a second here. Sometimes when I have too many tabs open, my computer kind of freezes. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan remains one of the best mid-range scorers despite getting up there in age. There's his career earnings. 24 points per game last year, 48% from the field. And Miles Bridges, I've heard kind of mixed things. Charlotte wants him and he wants to be there. There was that whole Suns stuff that happened, the whole Suns rumor, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tobias Harris, he had a rough year for the Sixers. But I can see some team that's trying to get up there, like go get him. I mean, you got to spend the money. You got to spend the salary cap. People in the chat are saying it's 1 year, 11 mil for CP3. Not sure if that's has it been officially reported?
Do you see Eduardo's chat there? Jonas to the Wizards. Did Valanciunas go to Washington?
Yeah, I just picked up my phone. Yep.
Oh wow.
So that surprised me. For some reason, I was like, he's probably going to be like a Laker or something. And I think Jake Fisher might have had this first. Not the actual tweet, but he said, I think his reporting said the Wizards are interested in Jonas Valanciunas. 3 years, 30 mil. Okay, so the Wizards, I just thought about this. The Wizards drafted Alex Sarr. Let me pull up the tweet too. The Wizards just drafted Alex Sarr. So that kind of front court, if you will, Alex Sarr, Jonas Valanciunas, has some potential. I'm not saying they're going to be any good. They're going to be another lottery team again. They'll be like top 5 in the lottery. But that front court, Jonas and Alex Sarr, who's a really good defender, I like that for the Wizards. Who knows what happens with Kyle Kuzma? Maybe he's traded, maybe he's not. But they're building something. They have the salary cap, they have the assets. I kind of like this for Valanciunas and the Wizards. I kind of like it. Maybe that's the optimism in me talking. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the Shams tweet. My computer is just so slow.
Again, I'm just glad he's going to an Eastern team.
Yeah.
Because he's good. He's tough. Valanciunas is a tough dude.
Yeah, he's consistent. He's tough. He's been a starter in this league for years.
He's old school.
If I was getting jumped in an alley, I would like him to come save me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he would mess some people up.
Exactly. Like he's old school tough. He really is. I like him. I like him a lot. So I'm glad he's just getting out of the West.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because he's very physical. Very physical.
Yep. Sets hard screens. Plays very hard. I think he's had some good games against the Suns, if I can recall that. Like
he's had quite a few good games against us. So again, that's another guy we only have to see twice now.
Yep. I agree. David mentions they just paid Rashad Holmes. Remember him?
Of course.
They paid him. Yeah. Seems like he's happy there, obviously. That's a little bit more backup forward and center depth for the Wizards. I think he played okay for them last year. I don't think he had the greatest season. I think there were some injuries there. A guy that's dealt with injuries too, it seems like ever since he left the Suns. He was a fan favorite here in Phoenix. I loved Holmes when he was here.
I did too. I liked him a lot.
But I think injuries kind of hurt him though. But, decent, big in this league.
We've had so many guys play that power forward role that turned into fan favorites. Holmes, Lou Amundsen. Can't forget Sweet Lou. Bo Outlaw.
Yes.
We had so many guys that played that similar role that we ended up really kind of latching on to. Stephen Hunter. He more played center.
Stephen Hunter. Yep.
Yeah.
Still works for the Suns, by the way. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. He's cool. I like Stephen Hunter a lot. I'm glad he's part of the organization.
Okay, now that my computer's running a little faster, I know I'm late to this, but here's the Woj tweet about Valanciunas and a follow-up tweet saying agents Jeff Shorts and Michael Tellum, who I believe, if that last name is correct, is the brother or something of Matt Tellum, who we just got as an assistant GM for the Suns. That name can't be a coincidence there. Landed the deal with the Washington Wizards to bring in the veteran center of a young rebuilding roster in DC. 3 years, 30 mil for Valanciunas. So they just drafted Yves Missi. They have Zion. They just traded for DeJounte Murray. Are the Pelicans just going to go small? Do they have somebody in their backup plans? You know what I mean? Like, I know Yves Missi is like a center, but he's like a project at best. Like, and he's a rookie too. It doesn't matter if you're, it's like you're a rookie. So I wonder what they're going to do in terms of their front court. But
I do too.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Huh. Trying to see if there's anything else. Contavious Caldwell Pope. I'm just checking something that somebody sent me. Okay.
Yeah, so we still need to get, obviously we need to address the point guard.
Yep.
And we needed to get another big.
Right. Yeah, we do.
So do we reach out to Jake Sakalides or something? Maybe Jake Vogel?
You're a real Suns fan if you remember those names.
Joe Klein, maybe Danny Shays.
Joe Klein is still on here?
Mario Bennett. He used to play for ASU, right?
Yep.
Mario Bennett.
Yep.
What former Suns big man do we think is still in shape and can help us?
We need a big man. Speaking of former Phoenix Suns big men, Alex Len re-signed with the Kings earlier. They seem to really like him in Sacramento, and I think he plays hard for them.
He does play hard.
Obviously, he's not like a top 5 lottery pick like he once was, but seems like a consistent player in this league. The Kings must love him, or they wouldn't have brought him back. So shout out to Alex Len, man.
He does play hard. He's put on some muscle. Like you can tell. He knows how to throw his weight around a lot better.
Got good size.
He does, and of course, when he plays against us, he always plays better.
Yep. I'll always kind of have that biased love for Alex Len because that was around the time I started my YouTube channel. It's a fun fact about me. So I was hyped when we got him because, I didn't know any better, but, So John asks, Suns Geek, are you going to be on Suns Jam Pod this afternoon? I think he means this evening. No, I don't anticipate it, but I have been texting John and I will probably be doing some shows with them later sometime this off season. Because as you can see, this off season might be slow.
Is Aaron Baines playing in the Olympics?
Oh, that's a good question. I know there was something that went down around the time of COVID when COVID was happening, and in full effect. I think injuries kind of derailed his career. That'd be fun if he was, though. I love Aaron Baines.
He's 37 now. Yeah, I like Aaron a lot.
He had one of the greatest games ever in a Suns uniform, and then the league got shut down.
That was so epic, dude.
That was amazing. I was
at that game.
Really?
Yeah. It was pandemonium. Like literally. And we needed some positive stuff. So all jokes aside, I'm looking at Suns former centers. I'm wondering what's going on with JaVale McGee, Robin Lopez, and not Miles Plumlee, but his brother.
Yeah, Mason Plumlee. Yep.
Is Mason locked in somewhere? I like Mason, actually.
With the Hornets, I believe. I'll look up his contract while you're talking. But yeah, those, and you know what? I don't really know much about what JaVale McGee did last year, but he played good for the Suns, man. and he would be awesome in a Budenholzer system.
He did play so good for us. There were times that he outplayed, many times where he outplayed Aiden.
I agree with that fully. By the way, Mason Plumlee's an unrestricted free agent. Let me look up JaVale McGee.
He's unrestricted?
Yeah, Mason Plumlee's unrestricted. And that wouldn't be like a splashy signing, but that would be like a good serviceable signing, you know, a guy that can just bring you those backup center minutes.
He always plays good against us too.
Yep, plays good against us. Has played well for like the Clippers, and I think he was with the Clippers, I believe, the Hornets, you know, all those teams. From Duke, I believe. 11 years in the league. By the way, his agent, you want to know who his agent is? Mark Bartelstein, who is the brother of Josh Bartelstein. Yep. Mark Bartelstein. Yep. So trying to pull up JaVale's contract, but my computer keeps running slow. So, but I don't know. We'll see. We will see, man.
Hot Rod Williams.
Yep.
Tyson Chandler.
Dude, I loved Tyson when he was here, man. I was at that game when Dragan Bender threw that alley-oop to him, and we won the game. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
Dragan Bender was out of bounds.
Yeah.
Tyson was kind of coming from the corner, lobbed up. I wish I had a phone too. I wish I would have filmed that, but I think I was just so caught up in the moment I didn't even think of it. But I was at that game, dude. My sister was with me too. It was so awesome.
Do you think Busy?
Yeah, Mike B says Mason would be solid though. I agree. What did you say about Busy?
You think Busy's like he's available?
Yeah.
Bismack's free agent.
Yep. I love Bismack Biyombo.
I really liked him too. Pat Burke would be great. Mike B. Love Pat Burke. Love him.
Yep. By the way, Pat Burke I haven't listened to the episode, but a while ago he was on the Suns Planet podcast. Shout out to Jake Fallen Founder and Sir Hamo and all those guys over there. Yeah, he was on their podcast. So
how was it? Did you listen to it?
I didn't listen to it yet. I've been meaning to, but they said it was a good time. And you know what? From what I did hear from that podcast, he criticized the Suns as he should. He didn't hold back on the Suns. That's what I was told anyway. So check out the Suns Planet podcast. Go listen to Pat Burke. Now, again, it was a while ago. I think it was during the regular season. But, you know. Oh, speaking of Sir Hamo, he's in here, part of the Suns Planet podcast. He says, thanks, bro. You're welcome, man. We got a super chat real here from David. Tomorrow's coffee, $1.99 super chat. Thanks for the extended stream. You're welcome, man. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I do appreciate it. Definitely going to need coffee tomorrow if I do decide to go live, because we got to just wait. At this point, we're just waiting. And the extended show was thanks because of Eric Gordon and Chris Paul and Paul George. So got 500 people. 500 people in here, dude. But yeah, there's nothing left. And I'll be real, man. I'm kind of running out of gas, even though I have coffee right here. Kind of running out of gas, not gonna lie to you. But maybe
it's crazy. We're waiting on what pretty much the biggest names: Westbrook, Klay, DeRozan.
Yep. I have a question for you. If you want to keep going, is that okay?
Yeah.
So real quick, I've seen some small chatter. I've read a couple articles. This was asked by my guy, Logan. What do you think about Mo Bamba as a backup center? Played for the Sixers last year. I've sort of been a fan of this guy. He hasn't lived up to the hype of a lottery pick, but he's like 7'1", ginormous wingspan, can kind of pop and shoot a three.
Yeah.
Not a great rebounder, but can block some shots. Maybe
I would
like a cheap deal.
I would welcome Bamba.
Yeah.
I would welcome him for sure.
I meant to
I
get
mean,
to that
God,
question earlier, but
we just
yeah.
add to our length that we already have too.
Yeah.
KD,
maybe he could,
Bull, and Bamba.
and maybe he could teach our new rookie Oso Ighodaro some things, you know? Just saying. Mo Bamba. I would welcome it. He wants to sign for like a vet minimum or something cheap like that. Maybe. I don't know. I would like it. I would welcome Mo Bamba, who I believe is an unrestricted free agent as well. Mike B says Bamba and Bull could high five from sideline to sideline. I love that.
And
Speaking of the sidelines and the corners, they could also be out on the corner as well if we need some 3-point shooters. Maybe a little threat out there. But I would probably want Bamba rebounding for us, even though he's not a great rebounder. So, yeah.
man, I don't know what's true and false here on Twitter.
Okay, what do you got?
Someone's saying Westbrook picked up his player option with the Clippers.
Really?
It says per sources though, and then doesn't list any sources.
Yeah, I thought
I gotta wait for the official award.
I thought he was gone. Let me Google it.
It's like even if he picks up his player option, though, I think the goal is to trade him.
So yeah, no, that is correct. Actually, yeah, because he did. Yeah, he picked up his option, but they said that the Clippers and him apparently want to trade. Yep. Yeah, it was Jake Fisher. The Clippers are working hard to try to find a trade for Russell Westbrook. The Clippers are looking to trade Russell Westbrook. Even Shams said it, actively working on trades. I like Russell Westbrook, dude. I think some Suns fans would hate it, but once they actually see Westbrook play, and they would see that this guy is going to compete night in, night out. We need a point guard. I know he's like a combo guard, but still, like, we need a guard. You know, like, I don't know, man. I would love it.
I think
that was another question in here too, which we pretty much just answered. But like Logan also asked, do you think Westbrook would be a good fit at point guard for the Suns bench, or would you rather have somebody like Aaron Holiday? Remember former Phoenix Sun Aaron Holiday?
Yeah.
Chris Dunn or DeLon Wright. I don't mean to be like rude, but like I wouldn't be like blown away if we got Aaron Holiday. He didn't really do much for us, you know? Like I know he's a good defender, but like I don't know. Just saying. You know me, I'm an optimist, but I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, if we could get Chris Dunn, I would like that. Out of those three names, I would like Chris Dunn first.
Yep. He's pretty high up on my list. Suns King says, what about taking Bones Highland from the Clippers? I don't know. They might want to keep him, especially if Paul George is gone. He's a good player, though. I like Bones Highland. Good size.
I do.
Sort of a Suns killer, by the way.
Yeah, I like Bones Highland. I do. And Bees just commented as well, saying, to be fair, Aaron Holiday wasn't given much. And I was thinking the same thing, too. I was like, yeah, Aaron Holiday didn't get much of an opportunity anyways with Monty.
Fair. Yeah.
And it would be Coach Bud coaching another Holiday.
Yep. That's what happened the first time with that. Yep.
Could turn into a happy Holiday. Never know.
What are the chances Coach Bud turns Nazir Little into a very good role player? Ooh. The problem is so many roster spots, only 48 minutes to play every game, you know? That's the tricky part. But, you know, we don't see practices. Practices are closed to the media. The only time the media is allowed in is after, you know, and it's when players are just shooting around and all that. So maybe Nazir Little works hard in practice, and Mike Budenholzer and his coaching staff are working with him. Maybe he showed flashes last season, but he got hurt. I see the potential, but like I don't know.
I would say if he gets the opportunity, more than a little chance
Yeah.
for little.
Yep. If he gets the opportunity. And who knows? Like, I know he's still under contract, but like, what if the Suns trade him? I don't know. What happens with David Roddy? You know, like, I don't know. It's a good question. I like the question from Mike B. I see the vision, but like, I don't know, man. So much playing time, so many minutes to go around. I don't know.
I like Roddy.
Yeah.
I do. He didn't get a lot of opportunity,
Yeah.
but I like him. He's got a good body to bang for sure. You know what I
David
mean? Like
Roddy.
he's built like a small tank.
Yeah. I agree.
So I like that.
Plays hard too. We need guys that can play hard.
Every time I see his name, I just think of Roddy Piper.
Is that a
Great wrestler.
Yeah, I was like, I heard that name before.
Great movie. They Live.
Yeah.
You seen that? They Live?
I haven't
You
actually.
haven't seen that?
Uh-uh.
Oh, dude. Chat, have you guys seen They Live? You guys know what I'm talking about. Great movie. Seriously. Google it. Watch it. Might change the way you look at some things.
I'm just checking Twitter here. Espo from PHNX says Eric Gordon to the 76ers likely means they'll let Cam Payne walk. Payne has been a name the Suns are connected to. It's a possibility. We'll see. AZ Sports Zone says Eric Gordon will shoot 45% from three next season, guaranteed. Now that he's with the Sixers, that's funny. Somebody said, "What did CJ McCollum do to our league, man?" Because of the non-activity with free agency. That's great.
So we might have campaign mode starting back up here.
Yeah. Maybe. I would welcome it. I wouldn't mind campaign coming back. Like I said, he's been at Arizona Diamondbacks games.
I wouldn't mind it
His
either.
heart still in Phoenix. So yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it, and I think it would help our culture.
Yep.
No doubt. Because the culture took a hit.
Yeah.
We all know that when McHale and Cam got traded, and then Cam as well. And then all we had basically returning from the Suns' final run was Book.
Yep. Pretty much.
Can't put a price tag on culture.
Speaking of Book, by the way, do not believe any of those stupid trade rumors. That stupid stuff that Stephen A. Smith is saying. I don't want to go on a rant, but just don't believe any of those stupid rumors. Like our owner literally had to tweet out that Kevin Durant is not being traded. Okay. So don't believe any of that BS that you see. So yeah.
Such a joke.
Steve, I think for real, I'm going to end the show. It was good. We went like an extra 20, 30 minutes longer, but I've been live streaming a lot on this show. As you guys know, we went over 3 hours. I think it's fair for me to end the show. I think it's fair, but hey, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, we'll do it again. And of course, Steve, I know you're a busy guy, but you're always invited, especially if there's actual Suns news and you're like Suns geek. I want to talk about it. You're always invited on, man.
Cool.
But I think it's good. I think it's a good time to end the show. Again, I know you did it earlier, but you want to refresh the memory of the people watching? Do you want to tell them where to find you on your gaming channel?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, man. I'll full screen you. The floor is yours.
So you guys can find me on YouTube at ThunderStash Gaming. And again, I do retro and current video game reviews. Cover all the consoles. I also cover PC, do hardware reviews, do a lot of retrospectives. Believe it or not, especially for the old heads out there. I recently did a video, and it was kind of taking a look back and replaying through Donkey Kong Country after
I
30
love that video,
years.
by the way. That was a great video.
Thank you. Isn't it crazy though that that game came out 30 years ago? Nuts. Like, it's hard to fathom for me. But so I do retrospectives like that, doing retro reviews. So you guys can find me there. Again, I'm a lifelong gamer. I've been in the thick of it since I was a kid. That and basketball. That's been my whole life. Playing basketball my whole life. Watching Suns, you know, for majority since 92. And so, yeah, you can find me there. And then you can find me on Twitter at ThunderStash YT for YouTube. And Instagram, same thing, ThunderStash Gaming. YouTube, ThunderStash Gaming. And Facebook, ThunderStash Gaming. So you can find me.
Yep. And like I said, you guys, I get nerdy about my description box. His links are in the description below. If anything, just do it for me, y'all. Go follow Thunder Steve, one of my good friends. I seriously appreciate you being on the show, Steve. I appreciate your friendship. You know that we go way back, man. You and I love what you're doing on YouTube. I also love what you're doing on TikTok as well. You're not lazy, and you actually put in the work with your videos and your content. And you're one of the biggest Suns fans I've ever met. And obviously, you're one of the biggest gaming fans I've ever met. And I do appreciate you. And again, man, I know you're a busy guy, but you are always invited on the channel, man. Anytime, brother. So
appreciate it, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you, my friend. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. Not the day we're expecting, but hey, sort of a fun day, I guess. And you guys already know the drill. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Seriously, you guys, crush that like button, share the show, follow Thunder Steve, links down below in the description. And with that being said, God bless you guys. Peace out. Win or lose, Phoenix Suns for life. And I'll see you guys next time. Go Suns.
Go Suns.
What's up, son?
I think that one good.
Appears being laggy. Oh. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that was. Oh wait, we're still live. I forgot to end the live stream. Sorry.